Chapter 3300. How is it? Is this formation very hard to break? I found a group of patrolling soldiers. After waiting for about an hour, the restriction-breaking hammer still didn't succeed. Knight Sorrow couldn't help but ask when he found a group of patrolling soldiers from the Blood Evil organization in the distance. According to his judgment, these patrolling soldiers would find him and the restriction-breaking hammer in about 20 breaths. If they couldn't break the formation in 20 breaths, it would be best to retreat and wait for the patrolling soldiers to leave before trying to break the formation again. Soon, we can break the formation at any time. Don't be anxious. If we give up now, we will have to break the formation again later. It will be very troublesome. The male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer replied as he quickly broke the formation with the female hammer. They will find us in a dozen breaths. Knight Sorrow observed again and confirmed that this group of patrolling soldiers was coming over. He reminded them again, "We should be able to break the formation here before they arrive. The formation is invisible. After we break it, we will quickly find a place to hide. These patrolling soldiers won't find us at all." The male hammer looked in the direction Knight Sorrow pointed and found that he couldn't see them with his ability. He immediately realized that the patrolling soldiers couldn't see them either. It was just that Knight Sorrow's eye technique was so powerful that he could find the patrolling soldiers. 10 breaths. Knight Sorrow, who was observing this group of patrolling soldiers, reminded them again after a few breaths. "Soon, we will be able to break it in less than 5 breaths." Xiang Chue quickly replied. As soon as he finished speaking, the formation in front of them was successfully broken in less than 3 breaths. The male hammer immediately reminded them, Let's go in. Enter my space, Grotto Heaven." Knight Sorrow, who was already looking at the route, said and put the restriction-breaking hammer and the eternal divine tower into his space, Grotto Heaven. Then, he quickly covered himself with a layer of secret runes and sneaked into the palace. Because his location would soon be exposed to the patrolling soldiers, he directly used the 33 Heavens combat mystic and destruction theurgy. He used the 9 steps of the Defiant Heaven and quickly flew in another direction. At this moment, the Imperial Palace was shrouded in a dense mist. It looked very ethereal. Knight Sorrow approached the entrance of the secret chamber according to the location marked on the map. Once he found the place, he would charge in and destroy the Blood Fiend altar. According to his judgment, this was the safest place for the Blood Fiend altar. As long as the people from a Blood Evil organization weren't stupid, they would have placed it below the palace. There's a cultivator's aura. Just as Knight Sorrow dodged the patrolling soldiers and headed towards the secret room, a voice suddenly rang out. The captain of the patrol team suddenly frowned and said, "Really? Who would have the guts to sneak into our place to court death?" A cultivator beside him said in disbelief. At this moment, the patrol team's captain, Xue Shi, sniffed carefully and said, "There's someone. Someone must have snuck in. I can still smell his scent." After saying that, he returned to his original form from his human form. It turned out that he was a 3-headed silver wolf. After transforming, he used his 3 heads to sniff around. He said, "Follow me. If we catch the intruder, it'll definitely be a great merit. We can't let the other teams take the lead. Captain, your nose is really unparalleled in the world. We didn't notice anything at all," one of the members of the team said fawningly. However, these people really admired the 3-headed silver wolf in front of them. He could even detect a scent that ordinary people couldn't detect at all. Therefore, when Knight Sorrow snuck in, they quickly followed. Could it be that I've been discovered? After walking for a short while, Knight Sorrow felt that something was wrong. He discovered that the team behind him had been following the path he had taken. If it wasn't for his fast speed, he would have been caught up. He immediately understood that he had left some loophole that they had noticed. This team seems to be greedy for merit. They want to rely on the strength of a team to capture me, and then exchange for rewards. This is a good opportunity for me. After thinking for a moment, he set up a 5-bull formation and an illusion formation on the path he had taken. Then, in the illusion formation, he waited for the team that was following him to fall into the trap. About 30 breaths later, Under the leadership of the three-headed silver wolf, the team rushed directly into the formation where Night Sorrow was hiding. Seeing that Night Sorrow only had the strength of a lower heavenly sovereign, the three-headed silver wolf immediately sniffed with his three noses and said, "There's no mistake. The scent is coming from this person in front of us. He is only a lower heavenly sovereign. We don't need to report to capture him, and we can capture him. Your nose is really good." Night Sorrow looked at the three-headed silver wolf and sneered. He wasn't being sarcastic. He really thought that the three-headed silver wolf's nose was amazing. This was because ordinary heavenly sovereigns couldn't use their noses to detect him sneaking in. Your skill in breaking the formation is also not bad. You can actually sneak in here without anyone noticing. However, it's a pity that you met me. Brothers, the opportunity to make a contribution has come. Take him down and hand him over to the second leader. We will definitely be rewarded handsomely. After the three-headed silver wolf confirmed that Night Sorrow was the person he was looking for, he transformed back into his human form and commanded the few cultivators to take action. Do you think it's a good thing that you found me? Well, you can finally break away from this bloodthirsty organization in front of you. Night Sorrow glanced at the three-headed silver wolf and said coldly, "It's best to capture him alive." The three-headed silver wolf, who was staring at Night Sorrow, ordered coldly. The few cultivators in front of him were not only heavenly sovereigns, but they were also middle heavenly sovereigns. He was an upper heavenly sovereign. He felt that capturing a lower heavenly sovereign was a piece of cake. If you surrender, you will suffer a lot less torture. You can't imagine the torture methods that we, the Blood Evil organization, use. One of the cultivators immediately threatened when he saw that Night Sorrow had released his divine territory and was ready to fight. As for the others, they all launched attacks at Ye Sorrow. "I'm different from you. Although you have done a lot of evil, I have no interest in torturing people. The few of you will be killed in an instant." Night Sorrow directly took out his golden heavenly halberd and used the mysterious azure divine spear art. The golden heavenly halberd was already a half-step to the supreme divine artifact. It was not something that these people could withstand. He quickly killed all the subordinates of the three-headed silver wolf with a spear strike. Seeing this scene, the three-headed silver wolf immediately crushed a bracelet on his arm. Seeing the three-headed silver wolf's performance, Night Sorrow said, "I have already set up a formation around you. It's too late for you to inform others. If you want to live, I'll give you a chance." Chapter 3301. Give me a chance. Do you think you have victory in your hands? Let me tell you, in this place, even a stronger upper heavenly sovereign is no match for me, let alone you. The three-eyed silver wolf said maliciously. Then, it transformed back into its wolf form and roared fiercely. "Since you are so confident, then let's fight. Let's see who is the one with blind confidence." Night Sorrow looked at the three-eyed silver wolf and said disdainfully, "Now, he could even fight against a weaker half-step to Supreme Realm. Even if the three-eyed silver wolf was supported by the altar, it should not be strong enough to fight against a half-step to Supreme Realm Expert. Therefore, the outcome of the battle was already decided. You are a lower heavenly sovereign. Although your talent is not bad, you are too blindly confident. You are courting death by coming here. Your half-step to Supreme Realm Divine weapon is mine." After roaring the last few words, the three-eyed silver wolf's hair all stood on end. It shot towards Night Sorrow rapidly. The three-eyed silver wolf could shoot out tens of thousands of hairs. After shooting out, countless shadows appeared in the void. It seemed that a large area in the void was occupied by the hairs. There was nowhere to hide. You do have a certain level of strength, but it is not enough. Night Sorrow immediately activated the sea serpent's eye to observe the hairs that were hiding. He filtered out all the fake hairs. Then, he used the golden heavenly halberd, which had been upgraded to a half-step to Supreme Realm Divine weapon, to shoot out the fiery demon spear. This time, the fiery demon spear had the support of the fiery phoenix gold. Its power was much stronger than before. When it was used, it immediately burned all the hairs that flew out of the three-eyed silver wolf. "Damn it! You deserve to die. After the hairs flew out, they were burned directly. There was no chance to summon them back. The three-eyed silver wolf was furious. The corners of its mouth started to tremble as it chanted a complicated spell. After a while, all the hairs on its body turned blood red. It looked extremely ferocious. You have the support of the altar, right? Let's see what is so special about the altar. Seeing the three-eyed silver wolf turn blood red, Knight Sorrow did not immediately attack. Instead, he left an opportunity for him to attack. While Knight Sorrow waited, the three-eyed silver wolf had completely transformed into a three-eyed blood wolf. Not only had his entire body turned blood red, but blood was also dripping from his body nonstop. He looked incomparably evil. Why aren't you making a move? Are you waiting for death? After receiving the altar's support, the three-eyed silver wolf roared and pounced at Knight Sorrow. His speed was 2 to 3 times faster than before. In terms of strength, it had even increased by 5 to 6 times. Knight Sorrow, who took the attack head-on, wasn't injured, but he was secretly surprised. He thought to himself, if that old demon blood fiend gets the support of the altar and his strength increases by 4 to 5 times, even if senior longevity and the coiling dragon spear work together, they might not be his match. It seems that I have to destroy the altar as soon as possible. At this time, Knight Sorrow didn't know whether the battle on the island had started or not. He was very worried about the situation there. Since he knew that the altar was not ordinary, he was prepared to no longer test the three-eyed silver wolf. He immediately used Extreme Flame Phantom. Without giving the three-eyed silver wolf a chance to counterattack, he immediately crippled it. What? This is impossible. It was crippled by Knight Sorrow's Extreme Flame Phantom. The three-eyed silver wolf, who only had one breath left, roared in disbelief. Now, I will give you another chance to choose. Submit or die. Knight Sorrow looked at the dying three-eyed silver wolf and said. At this time, he had already completely crippled it. This three-eyed silver wolf did not have the ability to self-destruct. He was not worried that the three-eyed silver wolf would kill itself. You want me to betray Blood Fiend Ancestor? That's impossible. Just kill me. Under such circumstances, the three-eyed silver wolf still had no intention of submitting. It struggled, wanting to kill itself, but it couldn't. Let me see if you have a backbone, or if the Blood Fiend Ancestor has better methods. After the three-eyed silver wolf rejected him, Knight Sorrow guessed that the Blood Fiend organization had the ability to control minds. He immediately used the power of merit on it, purifying all the Blood Fiend chi in its body. Then, he looked at the three-eyed silver wolf again and found that it had curled up into a ball due to its weakness. It even looked a little pitiful. At this time, Knight Sorrow asked again, now tell me, do you choose to submit or die and sacrifice yourself to the Blood Fiend Ancestor? I was defeated by the Blood Fiend organization, and then they used a secret technique to brainwash me. It was you who purified me. I choose to submit to you. Our entire clan was wiped out by them. I want revenge. The three-eyed silver wolf recovered from its daze and said weakly. Back then, it was also one of the top existences in the eternal, ancient, desolate world. Later, it was defeated by the Blood Fiend organization. Like a few other cultivators, it was compatible with the Blood Fiend organization's secret technique and finally became a member of the organization. Good. I will let you recover quickly. Enter my eternal divine tower. Knight Sorrow said and summoned the eternal divine tower. Seeing that the three-eyed silver wolf did not have the ability to enter by itself, he released a stream of divine essence and sent it into the eternal divine tower. Then he asked Xiaowu to give it an elixir. Knight Sorrow entered an empty room and set up a concealment array, waiting for the three-eyed silver wolf to recover. After about 30 breaths, the three-eyed silver wolf recovered a little and said, Master, why did you sneak in here? Hearing this, Knight Sorrow immediately replied, I represent the eternal supreme world and the eternal ancient desolate world to destroy the Blood Fiend altar. My goal is naturally to reduce the strength of the Blood Fiend organization. What? Destroy the Blood Fiend altar? I'm afraid that with Master's ability, you can't do it. Hearing this, the three-eyed silver wolf replied pessimistically, "Oh, how difficult would it be to destroy the Blood Fiend altar? Tell me about it." Night Sorrow looked at the three-eyed silver wolf and asked, "First of all, this Blood Fiend altar is located in a secret chamber below the palace. If you want to enter, you can only kill your way in from the front. Secondly, this Blood Fiend altar is guarded by more than 30 members of the Blood Fiend organization. Also, not counting them, there are 70 to 80 cultivators patrolling the palace. If you fight, you will encounter the attacks of hundreds of heavenly sovereigns. How can you win?" Speaking up to this point, the three-eyed silver wolf added, "In addition, the person in charge of guarding the Blood Fiend organization is the second leader of the organization. He has just advanced a half-step to Extreme Realm recently, and his strength is frighteningly strong. Think about it. How difficult is it to destroy this Blood Fiend altar? What? Not only is there a half-step to Extreme Realm expert, there are also hundreds of heavenly sovereigns." Hearing this, no matter how confident Night Sorrow was in his own strength, he could not help but gasp. He did not expect that after the Blood Fiend organization attacked the island and took away so many heavenly sovereigns, there were still so many left in their nest. Chapter 3302. Yes, hundreds of heavenly sovereigns are like a heavenly moat in front of us. The three-eyed silver wolf sighed and said, "And this is because the blood demon, Old Demon, is extremely evil. He threw all the cultivators below the heavenly sovereign level into the blood pool and used their flesh and blood to nourish the blood demon altar. Otherwise, there would be tens of thousands of earthly sovereigns and supremes here. Then there would be guards every 10 steps and sentries every 100 steps. I was wondering why there were no earthly sovereigns in the team led by the blood demon, Old Demon, and the palace. So they were all taken care of by the blood demon, Old Demon. This old devil is truly evil to the extreme." When Night Sorrow heard that the blood demon, Old Demon, had thrown tens of thousands of earthly sovereigns and supremes into the blood pool, he was even more furious. After thinking for a while, he said, "How many of the cultivators in the palace are like you, from the eternal, ancient, desolate world? I'm not too sure about that. But according to my estimation, other than the 30 inside who are the Blood Demon organization's henchmen, the patrol team outside shouldn't be." The three-eyed silver wolf thought for a while and said, "Then it's easy. We'll take them down one by one, and I'll think of a way to purify them all. Then we'll attack the altar below together." Night Sorrow said and continued, "Tell me the patrolling patterns of the patrol teams. We'll plan and save all the suitable people. If we can do that, our success rate will increase to 50%. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the three-eyed silver wolf thought about its own situation and felt that it was reliable. It immediately explained the distribution of the patrol teams to Night Sorrow. It turned out that although there were more than 10 patrol teams in the palace, they were all quite far away from each other. If Night Sorrow could find a chance to set up a trap array, with his strength, it wouldn't be too difficult to break through the teams one by one. After the three-eyed silver wolf finished, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "We should thank Su Lei for building the palace so majestic and making the patrol teams so far apart." Yes, in the end, the blood demon, Old Demon, was still one step behind. He didn't expect Master's shocking ability. Sensing Night Sorrow's confidence, the three-eyed silver wolf said flatteringly, "If the people he left behind are all mentally loyal to the bloody evil organization, it'll be really difficult for us." Night Sorrow said and followed the three-eyed silver wolf's instructions to set up a trapping array. Not long after, a 6-man patrol team crashed into the trapping array. The female cultivator leading the group, Qing Yun, saw Night Sorrow and immediately scolded, "How dare you break into the forbidden area of the Blood Fiend organization? You are courting death. I'm saving you." Night Sorrow glanced at the 6 people in front of him and felt that their auras were similar to the three-eyed silver wolf. He was immediately sure that they had all been brainwashed by the Blood Evil organization. As soon as he finished speaking, he activated the Treistrimsa Heaven's Battle secret technique and Destruction divine ability. He used the Golden Heavenly Halberd to execute the Azure Profound divine spear art. In just a few moments, the 6 people in front of him were completely suppressed. When these people summoned the power of blood and evil at the same time and received the support of the altar, he immediately used the power of virtue to purify all of them. After being purified by the power of virtue one after another, Qing Yun and the rest's gaze immediately became erratic and became somewhat at a loss. It was similar to the three-eyed silver wolf that had just recovered. After recovering for a while, Qing Yun looked at Night Sorrow with a puzzled gaze and said, "It was you who saved us from the hands of the Blood Fiend organization?" "Yes. Next, I need you to properly recover and then destroy the Blood Fiend altar with me." Night Sorrow looked at Qing Yun and the rest and said word by word, "But the altar below is heavily guarded, and there's also a half-step extreme realm expert, Shui Yin, overseeing it. With our strength, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to destroy the Blood Fiend altar." After recovering for a moment, Qing Yun immediately understood the situation in front of her. She slowly said, "At this moment, the three-eyed silver wolf walked out of the Eternal Divine Tower and said, 'At the beginning, I also thought so. But Master has the ability to purify and save all the patrolling teams outside. With everyone's help, there is still hope to destroy the altar.'" Three-eyed silver wolf. "What you said makes sense, but can this plan be carried out smoothly?" Hearing the three-eyed silver wolf's words, Qing Yun immediately said doubtfully, "Aren't you guys an example? If there are no accidents, the other teams should also be purified quickly. At that time, we will kill all those who are loyal to the Blood Fiend organization. The rest will attack the Blood Fiend altar together." The three-eyed silver wolf continued, "That will work. This Blood Fiend old demon and the Blood Fiend organization destroyed my eternal ancient desolate world and used cruel methods to kill so many people. They should receive the punishment they deserve. How do you need me to cooperate? As long as I can do it, Qing Yun will not refuse." Qing Yun thought for a moment and said firmly. The 5 cultivators behind her said the same thing. "Very good. You guys follow me and attack the next team." There was no time to lose. Seeing that Qing Yun was cooperating, Night Sorrow said and led them to the next target location. However, they had not reached the location yet. The three-eyed silver wolf suddenly said, "No, someone is coming." "Someone is coming? Is it the patrolling team?" Hearing this, Night Sorrow looked at the three-eyed silver wolf and asked, "No, it's the smell coming from outside the palace. The person who came seems to be Blood Fiend Old Demon's right-hand man, Shui Hong." The three-eyed silver wolf sniffed carefully and judged. Blood Fiend Old Demon's right-hand man. Not good. He should be back to report. I met the old demon on the way. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow immediately analyzed what was going on. He looked at everyone and said, "Follow me and leave the palace to stop Shui Hong and the others." "Okay. However, if we don't want to be exposed, we might need to set up a formation on their route in advance," the three-eyed silver wolf reminded. "Of course. You all know the situation of the Blood Fiend organization. Tell me, which path will Shui Hong take when he returns?" Night Sorrow looked in the direction the three-eyed silver wolf pointed at, but did not see anything. It was obvious that the three-eyed silver wolf's sense of smell was heaven-defying. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Qing Yun judged, if Shui Hong gets close to the palace, he will definitely gather all the patrolling teams together. If the patrolling teams are gathered together, it will be difficult to deal with them. We need to stop them outside the palace. So, let's set up a formation outside the palace. Okay, you all choose a location, and I will set up the formation immediately," Night Sorrow said, and led everyone out of the palace to stop them outside the palace. Moreover, at the location designated by the three-eyed silver wolf, they set up the 5-bull formation illusion formation, and trap formation. Shuehong was Blood Fiend Old Demon's right-hand man. Night Sorrow wanted to capture him alive and use his identity to directly enter the secret chamber. Therefore, they were fully prepared. Chapter 3303. By the time Night Sorrow had finished setting up the array, Shuehong and the rest had not arrived yet. The three-eyed silver wolf realized that there was still time and asked, "Master, are you prepared to capture Shuehong alive and force him to open the path to the altar?" "Yes, I do have such an idea, but I don't know if it's easy to achieve." As Night Sorrow spoke, he looked into the distance with the sea serpent's eye. He could vaguely see the figures of Shuehong and the rest. There were 11 of them, all of whom were upper heavenly sovereigns, and they were heading toward the palace. "Master, I feel that this idea of yours should be very difficult to realize. The members of the Blood Evil organization are 100% loyal to the organization. Even if you threaten him with death, Shuehong will never bring us in." After Night Sorrow spoke, the three-eyed silver wolf made his judgment. Hearing their words, Qing Yun also said, "Yes. Some of the followers of the Blood Evil organization would rather self-destruct than betray the organization. It's impossible to use Shuehong to enter the secret room. I've thought about what you said. I'm thinking that if we capture him alive, Shuehong will not agree to bring us in. Then we can read his memory and turn him into a puppet. We can use the puppet to deceive the second leader of the Blood Evil organization." After hearing what the three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun said, Night Sorrow immediately explained, "I see. That's a feasible idea, but I'm not sure if reading Shuehong's memory will cause him to self-destruct." The three-eyed silver wolf said worriedly. At that moment, Shuehong and the rest were approaching. Night Sorrow did not reply, but said, "They are here. Prepare for battle." "Yes." The three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun replied immediately. Then they concealed their auras and hid in the array so that they would not be exposed. "Don't worry. If we don't check the array carefully, we won't be discovered. The array inscriptions are hidden." When Night Sorrow saw that everyone was being careful, he reminded them. Of course, his array was meant for ordinary people. If it was a superpower house who was half a step to the Supreme Realm, they would be able to detect it easily. As for Shuehong and the others, they had not expected Night Sorrow to arrive at the Imperial Palace ahead of time and set up the spell formation. In a moment of carelessness, all of them had entered the formation. After the array formation was activated, Shuehong's expression changed drastically when he saw Night Sorrow. "It's you. Just like what the Patriarch said. You are indeed plotting something against the palace." "Plot? What I'm plotting is to exterminate the Blood Evil organization directly. Kill him." Night Sorrow observed with the sea serpent's eye and confirmed that Shuehong and the others were stronger than the three-eyed silver wolf and the others. However, they did not have the absolute advantage, so they directly gave the order. "You are courting death. How dare you be so arrogant in the territory of the Blood Evil organization? Let's see how you're going to deal with this." Seeing that Night Sorrow did not waste any more words and had directly entered combat mode, Shuehong immediately summoned the power of the altar. After the power of the sacrificial altar attached to his body, Shuehong's 7 orifices started to bleed ferociously. He raised his hand and wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. With a sinister smile, he said, "All of you die. Do you think that you are invincible after summoning the power of the sacrificial altar?" Looking at Shuehong, Night Sorrow realized that Shuehong was almost at the level of half-step to Supreme Realm, but he did not panic at all. After berating him, he directly activated the 5 Bulls formation. After the 5 Bulls roared, the members of the Blood Evil organization, who were already bleeding from their 7 orifices, started to bleed in many places. They looked extremely ferocious. Among them, Shuehong's skin was split open and countless bloody scars appeared. What kind of spell is this? At this moment, Shuehong finally understood how powerful the spell formation in front of him was. With a loud roar, he took out a long black spear and stabbed it at Night Sorrow. He wanted to rely on the strength of Half-Step to Supreme Realm to kill Night Sorrow directly. He knew that as long as he killed Night Sorrow, the rest of the people present would definitely collapse without a fight. How dare you attack with your spear in front of me? Seeing Xuehong's spear coming at him, Night Sorrow roared. He took out his golden heavenly halberd and clashed with it. Night Sorrow's golden heavenly halberd was a half-step to Supreme Realm divine weapon. Xuehong's divine weapon was at the level of a heavenly supreme. When the two of them clashed, the result was obvious. Xuehong's divine weapon was broken by Night Sorrow. What? A half-step to Supreme Realm divine weapon is so powerful? When Old Demon Blood Evil was chasing Night Sorrow, Xuehong had already heard a mention that Night Sorrow had a half-step to Supreme Realm divine weapon. However, he was not alarmed. At this moment when the divine weapon in his hand was broken, he finally understood how big the difference between the two of them was. This is not considered powerful. While Xuehong was stunned, Night Sorrow used his golden heavenly halberd to perform the mysterious azure godly spear technique. He fought with Xuehong. Although Xuehong was supported by the altar, he was still in the five-bull formation. After fighting with Night Sorrow for a while, he realized that he was definitely not a match for Night Sorrow. The thought of escaping rose in his mind. According to his plan, as long as he rushed out of the trap formation in front of him and summoned the patrol team, defeating Night Sorrow and the rest would be a piece of cake. However, Xuehong quickly realized that it was almost impossible to escape from the formation in front of him. This was because they realized that the formation in front of them was a chain formation. Not only did it include the five-bull formation, there was also a trap formation and an illusion formation. They could not break it at all. At this moment, the three-eyed silver wolf, Qing Yun, and the rest were fighting with some of Xuehong's subordinates. The three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun were relatively weaker. Hence, they did not perform well and were at a disadvantage. Seeing this situation, Night Sorrow kept helping the three-eyed silver wolf and the rest while suppressing Xuehong. With his help, they quickly killed all of Xuehong's subordinates. When Xuehong was the only one left, Night Sorrow looked at him and said, "If you cooperate with me and enter the secret room where the altar is, I will spare your life. I will spare your life. Otherwise, you will be killed on the spot." Humph. The members of the Blood Evil organization are not cowards. We will not be like these guys who chose to surrender in a moment. Just kill me. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Xuehong immediately said with disdain, "Since you have made such a choice, don't blame me for being ruthless." Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe Xuehong. Then, he activated the Treistrimsa battle secret technique and the Destruction divine ability. He used the Extreme Flame Phantom on him. As soon as the Extreme Flame Phantom was used, Xuehong was immediately sent flying. When Xuehong was sent flying, Night Sorrow immediately used the 9 heaven-defying steps to get close to him. Then he stabbed his spear towards his Dantian. He was going to cripple Xuehong first. Ghostface Heart-Protecting Mirror. At this moment, Xuehong saw that he could not defend against Night Sorrow's attack, and immediately roared. Then, a bright and clean bronze mirror appeared in front of Xuehong's chest. www. Chapter 3304. Boom! After Night Sorrow's golden heavenly halberd hit Xuehong's chest, there was a loud explosion. The ripples from the explosion destroyed Xuehong and destroyed the array that Night Sorrow had set up. Not good. Xuehong wants to use this trick to alert all the patrol squads. After the array was destroyed, Night Sorrow immediately understood Xuehong's intentions. However, things had already happened, and he could not undo it. He immediately set up a new array. He was ready for a new battle. The three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun were shocked. After thinking for a while, the three-eyed silver wolf said, "Master, the situation is not good. Why don't we retreat first and plan again later? If we face the attack of a large number of patrol teams, I'm afraid we won't be able to withstand it. Now, Blood Demon, Old Demon, and the Baleful Blood Organization should be fighting with the two worlds' allied army. And Blood Demon Old Demon's side has an obvious advantage. We have to destroy the altar as soon as possible. There is no time to waste. As for the patrol teams in front of us, they should be coming in waves. I don't care about them. After explaining, Knight Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and stood outside the palace to welcome the arrival of the battle. The truth was just as he said. Blood Demon Old Demon had already begun to attack the island's defensive array. When the array was destroyed, the people from the Eternal Supreme World and Eternal Ancient Desolate World could only fight to the death. If Blood Demon Old Demon rushed into the living area, Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the rest would definitely be in a life and death situation. This was something that Knight Sorrow did not want to see happen. After hearing Knight Sorrow's words, the three-eyed silver wolf sniffed and said, "The first batch of people that came was indeed a small team." After that, 2 more teams came together. As for the rest of the teams, they should be arriving at about the same time. According to this frequency, it shouldn't be a big threat. After saying that, Knight Sorrow stood in the array and continued to wait for the patrol teams to arrive. Not long after, the first 6-man team descended from the sky. The team leader looked at Knight Sorrow and said, "No matter why he is here, kill him." Yes. The few cultivators in the team responded, and all of them attacked Knight Sorrow. At this moment, the three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun wanted to attack. However, Knight Sorrow stopped them and said, "Stay in the concealment formation, don't move. I can get rid of a small team in no time." After saying that, he activated the 33 Heavens secret combat technique and destruction divine ability. He brandished the golden heavenly halberd and unleashed extreme flame phantom. After Knight Sorrow used his strongest and fastest attack, the cultivators in front of him could not block it at all. The few of them were quickly suppressed. After suppressing the 6 of them, Knight Sorrow immediately used his virtue power to purify them. After purifying the 6 of them, Knight Sorrow left them to the three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun. "I'll leave the rest to you. Those who don't leave the Blood Evil organization will be killed directly." "Yes, Master. Yes." The three-eyed silver wolf and Qing Yun, who were still in shock, answered one after another. They were extremely fearful of the completely unleashed Knight Sorrow. They felt that the current him was like a god of war that could kill anyone. "Go and do it," Knight Sorrow said again, just in time to see 2 teams rushing over together. He soared into the air once again and unleashed extreme flame phantom at them. This time, after all, the other party had 12 Sky Sovereigns. After Knight Sorrow used this move, although 3 Sky Sovereigns were heavily injured, however, who was focused on attacking and did not think of defending, was also hit several times. However, all of these were blocked by the activated Azure Phoenix battle armor. Such defensive power. I'm afraid he can already fight with Old Demon Blood Evil. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was continuously attacked and did not suffer any injuries, Qing Yun was shocked again. She felt that whether it was in terms of attack or defense, Knight Sorrow, he had already surpassed the realm of Sky Sovereign and reached the level of half-step extreme realm. Among the lower heavenly sovereigns, this was probably the only one. The three-eyed silver wolf was also shocked, but he did not say anything. Instead, he immediately began to persuade the few people who had been purified to surrender. Soon, the few cultivators were persuaded by the three-eyed silver wolf. After all, they were all people whose clans had been wiped out by the Blood Evil organization. After the few of them joined, Knight Sorrow's lineup immediately became more than 10. The three-eyed silver wolf immediately sent a voice transmission. "Master, we're already quite large. Let everyone fight together and share your burden." "No need. My recovery ability is very fast. I'll fight them myself and then quickly recover. This way, I can minimize the losses." After the three-eyed silver wolf's voice transmission, Knight Sorrow immediately replied. After all, the Leakin bloodline in his body came from a supreme venerable, so his recovery ability was very strong. No matter how tragic the battle in front of him was, he could recover very quickly. Therefore, He wanted to leave the purified cultivators for the final battle to destroy the altar. He wanted to use the advantage of numbers to destroy the altar in one wave. Hearing this, the three-eyed silver wolf continued. Then let's recover our strength and cheer for Master. All right, just watch, Knight Sorrow said, and continued to fight with the patrol team that had rushed over. About an hour later, Knight Sorrow successfully purified all the teams. Apart from the ones he had killed, there were more than 50 cultivators who had joined his team. While these cultivators were recovering, Knight Sorrow asked, "Who knows where the entrance to the secret chamber is?" "I don't know. We know that the altar is in the secret chamber below, but we don't know the location of the entrance at all." "That's right. Blood, evil, old demon, and the others don't let us come into contact with the real core. Every time we enter, we are brought in by blood, evil, old demon, using the space grotto heaven." Hearing this question, Qing Yun and the others replied helplessly. At this time, the three-eyed silver wolf smiled and said, "Master, I can find the location of the entrance." "Oh, really?" Knight Sorrow immediately asked in surprise. "Of course it's true. I can smell the difference in the aura nearby. From this, I can determine the location of the entrance," the three-eyed silver wolf said proudly. "Good. Then I'll have to trouble the others to enter the eternal divine tower to recover." Three-eyed silver wolf, bring me to find the entrance. After getting a positive answer, Knight Sorrow immediately ordered. Then, he let everyone enter the 10 times space of the eternal divine tower to recover. He followed behind the three-eyed silver wolf to find the entrance to the secret chamber. In fact, the entrance was marked on the map that Su Lei had given him. But this entrance had long been modified by the Blood Evil organization. This was something that Knight Sorrow had guessed long ago. So, he didn't even look for the entrance on the map. www. Chapter 33:05. The truth was exactly as Knight Sorrow had predicted. The people of Bloodfiend had long changed the location of the secret chamber's entrance to another place, and they had set up several fake entrances. After checking 5 or 6 of them, Knight Sorrow finally found the real secret chamber's entrance under the lead of the three-eyed silver wolf. Through the entrance, they entered the secret chamber's passageway. In other words, the passageway to the small world. Because this was a small world, it was impossible to enter by digging from the side. After entering the long passageway, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately reminded, "Master, I've heard that there are many mechanisms set up in this passageway. It's extremely difficult to pass through it. We have to be careful. You enter the eternal divine tower first. I'll go through this passageway myself. In addition, I'll remember today's merit." Knight Sorrow said, and opened the sea serpent's eye to carefully observe the path ahead. Soon, he saw that there were many formation patterns in the passageway. Because he couldn't see what these formation patterns were for, Knight Sorrow summoned the restriction-breaking hammer. He said, "Take a look at the formation patterns in this passage. What's going on?" "Wait a moment, let's observe," the male hammer of the restriction-breaking hammer said, and started to observe with the female hammer. On the other side, the Eternal Divine Tower also started to figure it out, but they couldn't see what was going on. The male hammer said helplessly, "The formation patterns in front of us seem to be extraordinary. We can't see what's going on." Xiao guessed with uncertainty, "I think it should be some offensive formation patterns. Or an illusion array. It's nothing more than these. Since you can't see it, let's barge in." Knight Sorrow knew that the restriction-breaking hammer and the Eternal Divine Tower couldn't see what was going on. He directly held the golden heavenly halberd and attacked. At this moment, he was worried about his family and friends on the island and didn't want to delay at all. He was more reckless than usual. After Knight Sorrow activated the first batch of formation patterns. In the passageway, 10 extremely hideous-looking blood corpses were immediately summoned. In the Eternal Divine Tower, Qing Yun saw the 10 blood corpses and immediately warned, "Be careful. These are cultivated by the Bloodfiend organization using the blood pool. It only has the instinct to attack, but no real consciousness." Don't worry, I'll be fine against these things. However, by activating this rune, the person inside should have already alerted the enemy. A bitter battle is unavoidable, Knight Sorrow said, and charged towards the 10 blood corpses with the golden heavenly halberd in hand. Even after using the half-step paramount divine artifact, golden heavenly halberd, to stab at the blood corpses several times, it did not have much effect. He said in surprise, "The defense of these blood corpses is really strong." As he spoke, Knight Sorrow directly activated the 33 Heavens secret combat technique as well as his Annihilation divine ability. He used the Qingxian godly spear technique on these blood corpses. Clang, clang, clang. However, after a series of metallic sounds, Knight Sorrow suddenly realized that these blood corpses had copper skin and iron bones. Even an attack of this level would not be able to harm him. At this moment, he had already been hit several times. He's really not easy to deal with. After being continuously pushed back by the blood corpses, Knight Sorrow immediately thought of a countermeasure. After thinking for a while, his eyes suddenly lit up. He immediately summoned the Dragon of Virtue and let it wrap around the golden heavenly halberd. Once again, he used the Qingxian godly spear technique on the 10 blood corpses. This time, every time the golden heavenly halberd stabbed the blood corpses, there would be a burst of sizzling sounds. After being attacked, the blood corpses would be ignited by the power of virtue. Soon, the 10 blood corpses were burned by the power of virtue. In the tunnel, they gradually turned into dust. After killing the 10 heavenly sovereign level blood corpses, Knight Sorrow's power of virtue also increased. Because his power of virtue's base level was very low, it increased very quickly. It directly advanced to the level of lower earthly sovereign. It could be said that he had caught up by a lot. When he realized that his power of virtue had increased by so much, Knight Sorrow immediately said excitedly, "Very good. Before the final battle, increasing my power of virtue to the level of earthly sovereign will definitely play a very good role in the process of destroying the altar. Congratulations, Master. Your superpower has increased." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately congratulated him. Qing Yun and the rest were a little uncomfortable with the three-eyed silver wolf calling him master. This was because they all knew the three-eyed silver wolf and knew that he was once one of the giants of the eternal, ancient, desolate world. He was second only to the top figures like Su Lei. The three-eyed silver wolf naturally saw through Qing Yun and the rest's thoughts. In the eternal divine tower, he smiled and said, "You don't understand." Qing Yun and the rest did not say anything. Instead, their gazes once again landed on Knight Sorrow. At this moment, Knight Sorrow, after burning the power of lower earthly sovereign's power of virtue, suddenly became incomparably sacred. Without hesitation, he took another step forward and continued to walk forward. Not long after, the second set of runes was activated. This time, they had entered an illusion, a blood-red small world. As soon as they entered, a gloomy blood rain fell in this small world. Knight Sorrow opened the sea serpent's eye to observe for a while, but did not discover anything. Hence, he continued to walk forward in the blood rain. Not long after he walked, corpses made of blood continuously crawled out from the blood-red soil in front of him. These corpses made of blood were not the same as the blood corpses he had encountered earlier. In terms of aura, they were obviously stronger. In about 10 breaths' time, 33 blood corpses that looked exactly the same crawled out from the ground. As soon as they appeared, they roared and charged at Yi Sorrow. These corpses made of blood not only had stronger aura than the blood corpses outside, but their speed was also obviously much faster. However, at this moment, Knight Sorrow was still activating the Treistrimsa battle secret technique and the destruction super ability. Seeing that these corpses were extremely fast, he immediately used the golden heavenly halberd to display the extreme flame phantom. Using the speed, he quickly passed through the corpses. He consecutively pierced through more than 10 corpses. However, After these corpses were pierced through, they quickly gathered together and did not suffer any injuries at all. Not injured. Looks like I have to use the power of virtue again. Seeing the situation in front of him, Knight Sorrow immediately activated the Dragon of Virtue. Once again, he let it wrap around the golden heavenly halberd and attack the corpses in front of him again. However, this time, even if he used the power of virtue, his attack still could not harm these corpses made of blood. Knight Sorrow immediately frowned and said, "Who knows what's going on? I feel that this is an illusion, so the things that appear should not be real. Since they are not real, they will not be injured." Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Qing Yun immediately deduced. www. Chapter 3306. Yes, I think so too. The existence of this illusion array is very likely to make Master consume endless divine power. The three-eyed silver wolf said and continued to deduce. As for what will happen after that, I'm not sure. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow thought and said, since we can't deduce what will happen after that, let's test it out. Then, he continued to fight with the corpses made of blood in front of him. After fighting for about 100 breaths, he directly withdrew about 50% of the divine power around him, giving people the feeling that his divine power was running out. Realizing that the corpses in front of him did not change at all, he withdrew another 30% of his divine power. He only used 20% of his divine power and only used speed to deal with these things. Then, he withdrew his divine power to only 1%. At this moment, Knight Sorrow realized that although these corpses made of blood looked very powerful, they gradually began to fade. After he completely hid his divine power, these corpses completely disappeared. What replaced them were 3 blood corpses that crawled out of the blood. These 3 blood corpses looked very ferocious. Knight Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to check and found that these were real. He immediately understood that the things that this array had just summoned were only to consume his divine power, and these 3 blood corpses in front of him should be used to kill. Roar! After the 3 blood corpses appeared, they immediately roared into the sky. Then, they attacked Knight Sorrow at the same time. What powerful strength! They are 5 to 6 times stronger than the 10 blood corpses that were killed. After the 3 blood corpses attacked, Knight Sorrow immediately released his divine power again. Moreover, he raised his divine power to the strongest state and activated the Green Phoenix battle armor. While fighting, he covered his body with flames. After these flames appeared, they directly dispersed the blood on his body. Seeing that Knight Sorrow's aura had recovered, the 3 blood corpses that appeared immediately launched an even more ferocious attack than before. However, although the 3 blood corpses were very strong, they were only at the level of upper heavenly supreme and not half-step to the supreme realm. With Knight Sorrow going all out, he quickly destroyed the 3 blood corpses. This time he had killed the 3 blood corpses. Although he had received a bonus from the power of merit, his power of merit was still that of a lower earthly sovereign. Obviously, after his power of merit had advanced to the earthly sovereign level, the speed at which he killed heavenly sovereign level evil spirits had significantly decreased. Buzz! After the 3 blood corpses were killed, the illusory formation in front of him disappeared completely. Knight Sorrow immediately came out of the small world. Once again, he appeared in the tunnel. After standing firm, Knight Sorrow immediately transmitted his voice. Three-eyed silver wolf, you've done a meritorious deed again. If it weren't for your accurate deduction, I don't know how long I would have to fight those illusory blood corpses. You don't have to be so polite, Master. I was just guessing and happened to stumble upon the truth. Hearing the praise, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately smiled and said, being able to deduce the truth by chance is also a kind of luck. At this point, I can't praise you verbally anymore. This is the supreme flaming phoenix gold, a supreme grade material. Keep it well. As he spoke, Knight Sorrow took out 2 fist-sized pieces of supreme flaming phoenix gold and handed them to the three-eyed silver wolf. IO. A supreme grade material. It's really a supreme grade material. After receiving the supreme, flaming phoenix gold, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately shouted excitedly. At this time, Night Sorrow continued. Although this supreme flaming phoenix gold is a supreme grade material, it hasn't been purified, so it can only be refined into a half-step to supreme grade divine artifact. You could try to refine it. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Hearing this, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately refined the supreme, flaming phoenix gold in the eternal divine tower. Soon, it refined them into a pair of wolf claws. Although this pair of wolf claws looked a little small, they could be changed in size at will. After the three-eyed silver wolf put them on, it scratched its own defensive armor and immediately tore it apart. Amazing! A half-step to supreme grade divine artifact is indeed extraordinary. It hasn't even gone through the thunder calamity, and it already has such power. Thank you, Master. After the three-eyed silver wolf confirmed the power of this divine artifact, it immediately cried out with gratitude. You deserve this. You don't have to be emotional here. The three-eyed silver wolf was too emotional, so Night Sorrow said unhappily and continued to walk into the passage. Not long after, he entered another small world. This small world was similar to the small world that was raining blood. The only difference was that the blood corpses that appeared were all real. Yishan only managed to kill a few dozen blood corpses after roughly an hour of fighting. After killing so many blood corpses, his power of merit suddenly advanced to the level of a middle earthly sovereign. The power of merit, I've held it in for too long. It suddenly advanced, and it continuously improved by so much. Good, very good. His power of merit had advanced again, and he had broken through another level. Night Sorrow was in a good mood. At this time, there were only a few runes left in front of him. He used the sea serpent's eye to observe for a while. After confirming that he still couldn't see anything, he prepared to continue stepping in. At this time, Qing Yun suddenly said, "Wait. I feel that there must be something wrong with this last level. Don't step in rashly." "Oh? What do you mean?" Night Sorrow stopped and asked doubtfully. Qing Yun continued, "According to my understanding of the Blood Evil organization, they are very vicious. Generally speaking, the difficulty of the last level would be much higher than all the previous levels combined." I've already thought of this." Night Sorrow responded and continued, "However, the level is right in front of us. If we don't activate it, what else can we do?" "Master, I just got a half-step to Supreme level Divine Artifact. Why don't you let me go in and help you explore?" At this time, the three-eyed silver wolf volunteered. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was a little touched. However, he immediately said seriously, "No need. I'll do it myself. There's no need for you to take this risk. I still have some tricks up my sleeve." After saying that, he activated all the information on his body. He took a few steps forward and completely activated the last runes. Who would have thought? After entering, he was suddenly teleported out of the palace. He appeared outside the palace. The last runes are actually teleportation runes. When he appeared outside the palace and saw the familiar scenery, Night Sorrow was immediately surprised. He used the sea serpent's eye to observe the surroundings. This is indeed outside the palace. Qing Yun observed for a while and said immediately. At this time, the three-eyed silver wolf said slowly, "No, although this looks exactly the same as the palace, the smell is different. I can smell the difference." Chapter 33:07. Oh, if you've discovered anything different, just say it. Hearing the three-eyed silver wolf's words, Night Sorrow immediately asked, "Reporting to Master, you should still remember when I brought you guys to find the entrance, right? At that time, I relied on the difference in smell to find the entrance." The three-eyed silver wolf explained and then explained, "And here in front of us, there's no smell at all. Therefore, even if it looks exactly the same, it's definitely not the same region. What you mean is that we weren't teleported out. Instead, we entered a new world?" Night Sorrow said with a frown. "The environment here Even with the sea serpent's eye, he couldn't see any illusory existence. The feeling that it gave people should be real. Yes, according to my judgment, this blood evil organization's altar should be hidden in a brand new world. It's not in the same space as the palace. Therefore, it's very difficult for the people from blood evil organization to enter. The three-eyed silver wolf said his judgment. He felt that the blood evil altar should be in an independent plane. As for how to enter, he couldn't guess at all. Hearing him say this, Qin Yun immediately agreed. That's right. It's really possible. If it's really like this, it'll be even more difficult for us to find the altar. If your deduction is not wrong, then in the palace in front of us, it's very likely that we'll find a new secret chamber entrance. Or rather, an entrance to a new plane, Knight Sorrow said, and then ordered, "Let's go find a new entrance." Three-eyed silver wolf, this matter still depends on you. All right, master, let me out. The three-eyed silver wolf immediately said. He was still very obedient towards Knight Sorrow's words. Come out, Knight Sorrow said and released the three-eyed silver wolf and Qin Yun. The others were still recovering in the Eternal Divine Tower. After leaving the Eternal Divine Tower, the three-eyed silver wolf sniffed carefully and said, although the smell here isn't heavy, I can still smell the smell of blood evil organization cultivators. Master, please follow me. Your nose is really powerful. Compared to secret treasures, it's not inferior. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow praised again. He didn't expect that purifying the three-eyed silver wolf on a whim would have such a great effect now. He could not detect any of the scents around him. Qin Yun, who was at the side, also didn't sense anything strange. She also felt that the nose of the three-eyed silver wolf was very rare. He praised, "This talent of yours is useless in battle, but when it comes to finding something, it's really amazing." Of course, in the Blood Evil organization, I was assigned to patrol the palace. That was definitely a waste of talent, the three-eyed silver wolf said proudly. Then, it led Knight Sorrow and Qin Yun to search for the entrance. After searching for several locations, he finally found the place. Once again, they entered the passageway set up by the Blood Evil organization. As soon as he entered, Knight Sorrow discovered another array pattern that was similar to the previous one. He recalled the situation of the previous passageway and compared it. The passageway in front of us is almost the same as the one we just passed through. It's almost the same. Should we try to break the formation again? When Qin Yun heard Knight Sorrow's words, she looked at the array runes and said, Since there's no way out, let's press forward." After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he walked towards the array pattern in front of him again. This time, he did not keep the two of them into the Eternal Divine Tower. When Qin Yun and the three-eyed silver wolf saw Knight Sorrow walking forward, they immediately followed. After the three of them stepped onto the array pattern, 10 blood corpses immediately appeared in the passageway. These 10 blood corpses were similar to the ones that appeared in the previous passageway. However, their auras were even stronger. It's really similar to the previous passageway. Exterminate them, Knight Sorrow said and led Qin Yun and the three-eyed silver wolf to fight the blood corpses in front of them. This time, it was the same as the previous one. Ordinary attacks had no effect on the blood corpses at all. In the end, he used the Dragon of Virtue to kill these 10 blood corpses. After that, Knight Sorrow brought the two of them and continued to break through. What they encountered was almost the same as the previous passageway. However, some of the blood corpses they encountered were much stronger. After passing the 4th checkpoint, the three-eyed silver wolf frowned and said, "This array pattern in front of us won't teleport us out again, right?" Probably so. Looking at the array pattern in front of me, it looks similar to the previous one, Knight Sorrow judged. In order to prevent us from being separated, you guys had better enter the Eternal Divine Tower. As he spoke, he kept Qin Yun and the three-eyed silver wolf into the Eternal Divine Tower. After that, he stepped into the 5th checkpoint's array pattern again. Just as they had guessed, when he appeared again, he appeared in the periphery of the Imperial Palace again. After standing firm, Night Sorrow let the two of them out. He looked at the three-eyed silver wolf and said, "Sure enough, it's the same as our judgment. Smell it again and see if it's the same as the previous area." "Yes, master." The three-eyed silver wolf responded and once again displayed its bloodline power, smelling the surrounding smell. After a while, it said, "Master, this place is different from the previous 2 times. Then let's find the entrance again." Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that it might be similar to the previous time. They had fallen into a new plane again. He continued to let the three-eyed silver wolf find the entrance. "Yes, master. It's just that this time the smell is much lighter. It might take some time to find the entrance." The three-eyed silver wolf judged. "Try to be faster. But if we can't do it, there's nothing we can do." Night Sorrow looked at the imperial palace in the distance and said slowly, "Without a doubt, they had entered a cycle. What exactly did they need to do to find the location of the altar?" He was not very sure, but from the looks of it, they could only take one step at a time. "I'll try to find the entrance as soon as possible. Master, you guys follow me." After the three-eyed silver wolf finished speaking, it brought Night Sorrow and Qing Yun to find a new entrance again. This time, they spent about 2 hours before they found the right place. After entering, they encountered the same thing as the previous few passages. After a bitter battle, they exterminated all the blood corpses and arrived in front of the 5th checkpoint's array pattern. At this time, Night Sorrow frowned and said, "Something doesn't seem right." This time, after killing so many blood corpses, the power of virtue in my body did not increase at all. This proves that the blood corpses that we killed just now seem to be illusory. We are most likely in an illusion. In an illusion? If we activate the 5th checkpoint's array pattern, then we will enter a series of illusions? Hearing this, Qing Yun immediately said doubtfully. Chapter 33:08. I guess that might be the case. Night Sorrow nodded as he observed the runes. The three-eyed silver wolf looked at the runes as well. These bastards from Blood Fiends are really powerful. They want us to be trapped in a loop forever. If it were any other day, it wouldn't matter if we were trapped for a period of time. We can slowly break the array and find a way out. But Blood Fiends is fighting with our family and friends. We can't waste time like this. We have to think of a way to break the array. Night Sorrow pondered for a moment and said, "Restriction Breaking Hammer, Eternal Divine Tower, help me think of a way too." Then he summoned the Restriction Breaking Hammer and Eternal Divine Tower. Actually, we've already studied the illusion array in front of us in the Grotto Heaven. Although this place looks extremely real and can't be broken, it's definitely fake. What we need to do is to destroy this fake world. As for how we're going to do it, we're not sure. The male hammer of the Restriction Breaking Hammer said immediately after it was summoned. The female hammer, who had not spoken for a long time, continued after the male hammer finished speaking. "I guess that one way to break the illusion in front of us is to reach a certain level of strength, at least half step to Supreme Realm, and can see the true essence of the array. Secondly, one's strength has to reach a certain level. One can be unreasonable and directly break the array in front of us. One could defeat 10 with one strength. Think about it. Even if everyone's array formation is exquisite, can it trap a Lamida? Makes sense. The Restriction Breaking Hammer and the rest have a point." Xiao agreed after hearing what the Restriction Breaking Hammer said. However, he controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to observe and couldn't see through the array in front of them. He asked in confusion. The Eternal Divine Tower we're controlling is a half step to Supreme Realm Divine Weapon. Why can't we see through the illusion in front of us? It should require a half step to Supreme Realm Cultivator to see through it. The male hammer of the Restriction Breaking Hammer said after Xiao finished speaking. At this moment, Night Sorrow looked at the Eternal Divine Tower and said, "Since we can't understand what's going on with this array, then we'll use the old method to break the array." He felt that the Restriction Breaking Hammer's analysis was very reasonable. Under the circumstances where they didn't know what was going on with the array, This was the only way. This was a solution that wasn't a solution. The old method, breaking the formation by force. Little 5 didn't quite understand what Yi Shang was talking about. Little 7 reacted and asked, "Yes, it's the same as what we did in the past." Knight Sorrow explained, "The Eternal Divine Tower will directly attack the runes of the 5th stage with its strongest attack." According to his judgment, the most problematic part was the 5th stage's formation pattern. After all, it was these runes that looked similar to each other that brought them into different environments. All right, however, are you sure that we should directly use our strongest attack? Isn't it a little exhausting to use your strongest attack on an array pattern? Little 5 felt that directly using his strongest attack would consume a lot of energy, so he was a little reluctant. Seeing Little 5's reluctance, Knight Sorrow said, "Time is everything. This attack might not be appropriate, but we have to attack. I can't let my family and friends wait for too long. Do you understand what I mean? All right, I'll do it now. I'll definitely use my strongest attack without holding back." Hearing this, Little 5 immediately understood Knight Sorrow's meaning and immediately gathered the power of the Eternal Divine Tower. Using his strongest attack, he blasted the runes in front of him. Buzz! This attack from the Eternal Divine Tower was definitely even more ferocious than Knight Sorrow's strongest attack. It blasted the runes in front of them and immediately made a loud noise. It directly blasted the invisible film in front of them. The moment the invisible film shattered, everything in front of them was like broken glass, instantly shattering and then quickly disappearing. However, what appeared again was still a similar scene. It seemed that no one had moved. At this moment, Knight Sorrow looked at the three-eyed silver wolf and said, "Three-eyed silver wolf, sniff and see what's the situation here." "Yes, master." The three-eyed silver wolf responded and used his talent to transform into a wolf, using his sense of smell to explore the space in front of him. After exploring for a while, the three-eyed silver wolf transformed back into a human. "This is the place where we just entered. The floor just now. Do you understand?" "Understood. In other words, we've returned to the space just now." Knight Sorrow replied, then looked at the eternal sacred tower and said, "Little 5, continue to attack the runes in front of us. Maintain the same intensity as before. The Eternal Divine Tower can only use that level of attack a few times. Every time we use it against a strong enemy, we will have one less chance to counterattack." Little 5 said after hearing the order, "Let's use it once first, then study the others." Knight Sorrow nodded, thinking of the threat that old demon Bloodfiend would bring to the island. How could he care about treasuring resources? "Okay." Little 5 responded and struck out again. This time, the attack was almost exactly the same as before. The scene in front of them was once again like the ice surface, completely shattering. When the scene in front of them appeared again, Little 5 asked directly, "Do you still want to use the same attack?" "One more time." Knight Sorrow did not hesitate and said firmly. Then, Little 5 attacked again, shattering the small world in front of them again. This time, under the confirmation of the three-eyed silver wolf, they were sure that they had appeared in the passageway that they had entered the first time. At this moment, Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and continued, "Little 5, continue." "Okay." Again, Little 5 roared loudly, and then controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to launch another attack. Just as Little 5 attacked, Knight Sorrow, who had gone all out, also shot the godly shot. The two attacks, almost at the same time, bombarded the runes in front of them. It caused a huge commotion on the spot. At the same time, an invisible door in front of them was forcibly blasted open. Everyone looked over and found that a new path had appeared in the passageway. This time, without the three-eyed silver wolf saying anything, Knight Sorrow and the rest had already smelled the thick smell of blood. Smelling this smell, Qing Yun immediately frowned and said, "This is the smell of the blood pool. We have entered the space where the blood pool is. The blood pool is there. The altar is there. Found it. We finally found it." "Yes." This is the smell of the blood pool. Let's rush in and destroy the altar. The strength of everyone in the Blood Fiend organization will be reduced by at least 50%. The three-eyed silver wolf, who sniffed carefully, said with certainty. Finally walking out of the illusion and finding the altar, he was very excited. At this moment, an extremely cold voice came from the depths of the passageway. This is the first time I've seen someone so happy to die. Second leader. This voice comes from the most mysterious second leader of the Blood Fiend organization. Hearing this voice, Qin Yun immediately judged. Chapter 3309. Second leader? In that case, we found the right place. It's good that we found the right one. Hearing Qin Yun's words, Night Sorrow immediately rejoiced. No matter what, they had already found the main character now and could fight with real swords and spears. Unlike earlier, they could only circle around in the illusion array. Master, be careful. This second leader is very mysterious. He has used many names to show people. But as for who he is exactly, only Old Fiend Blood Fiend knows. Now that he has already advanced to half-step extreme realm, his strength is rather formidable. Especially near the blood pool and altar, his combat strength will at least increase by 50%. The three-eyed silver wolf saw Night Sorrow's performance and immediately opened its mouth to remind. Afraid that he would underestimate the extremely troublesome second leader because of his carelessness. In their hearts, this second leader was even more terrifying than Old Fiend Blood Fiend. Basically, those heinous matters of the Blood Fiend organization were all presided over by him. Relax, this matter concerns human lives. I won't have any carelessness. At the same time that Night Sorrow responded, he opened the sea serpent's eye and looked into the depths of the passageway. This time, he did not see any formation patterns. He ordered, "Everyone, charge in with me and destroy the Blood Fiend altar. Break one of their legs." At this time, Qin Yun transmitted, "Wait. The Blood Fiend organization's people, fighting at the location of the blood pool. Their strength is virtually inexhaustible. If possible, can we lure them out to fight? These people left behind by the Blood Fiend organization are guarding the altar. Even when we were breaking the formation, they did not leave the blood pool half a step. It's impossible to lure them out now. Let's charge in." Night Sorrow, who did not wish to delay for a moment, roared and took the lead to charge into the passageway. "Let's follow too." The three-eyed silver wolf and Qin Yun exchanged a glance and followed closely behind. Several dozen breaths later, they appeared in the space where the altar and blood pool were located. This space occupied a very vast area and did not look like an underground world at all. The blood pool that they spoke of was actually a blood sea with a radius of 1,000 miles. In the center of the blood sea, there was a tall altar that reached straight to the sky. Currently, a stooped figure stood on the altar. Taking a look, the three-eyed silver wolf reminded, the one standing on the altar is the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization. Normally, most of the Blood Fiend organization's matters are managed by him. I can feel his strength. After replying, Yishang looked at the vast sea of blood. He said angrily, "How many people's blood is needed to gather the blood pool?" The Blood Fiend organization, Blood Fiend organization. After we destroy the Blood Fiend altar, we must annihilate everyone in this organization. Yes, this kind of heinous beast doesn't have the right to live in this world. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the three-eyed silver wolf agreed. At this moment, the people who were recovering in the Eternal Divine Tower all asked to fight. Now that they had regained their consciousness, they knew clearly what kind of torture their family and friends had suffered. Get ready to become a part of the Blood Sea. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization stood on the altar, raised his arms, and roared. He controlled the Blood Sea and made it surge. After the Blood Sea surged, about 30 cultivators with their eyes closed gradually rose from the bottom of the sea. After these cultivators rose into the air, the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization said coldly, "Kill all the invaders." Yes. After he gave the order, these cultivators covered in blood opened their eyes one by one and locked their gazes on Knight Sorrow's group. Every cultivator's eyes were filled with blood-red, killing intent. They stared at Knight Sorrow's group as if they were looking at dead people. Their aura was very scary. They seemed to be much stronger than before. Seeing these blood-red cultivators, Qing Yun couldn't help but say. The 30 cultivators in front of them gave off a very strong feeling. At this moment, the three-eyed silver wolf reminded, "Master, summon all of our men." Yes, that's what I was thinking too. Everyone, let's attack together and test the enemy's strength. I'll make further arrangements. After thinking for a moment, Knight Sorrow followed the three-eyed silver wolf's suggestion and summoned all the cultivators in the Eternal Divine Tower. By the time everyone had been summoned, there were already about 60 cultivators on Knight Sorrow's side. It was basically twice the number of the opponent, but he didn't have the slightest mentality of having an advantage. That was because the 60 cultivators in front of him were all purified by him with the power of merit, although their cultivation didn't drop because they gave up the Blood Fiend power. Their strength had decreased. Even if it was 2 against 1, they might not be a match for the 30 blood-red cultivators in front of him. However, Knight Sorrow was already very satisfied with such a situation. After all, when he first arrived at the periphery of the palace, he was facing more than 100 cultivators alone. At that time, there was no hope at all. If they could destroy the altar of the Blood Fiend organization, it would be equivalent to Knight Sorrow defeating half of the Blood Fiend organization with his own strength. So these people have all been purified by you. Do you have the power of merit? After Knight Sorrow summoned many cultivators, the second leader immediately locked his gaze on Knight Sorrow and asked maliciously, "It's useless to say more. Kill." At this moment, Knight Sorrow didn't waste any more words and directly ordered. He was in no mood to listen to the second leader's nonsense. "Kill. With the strength of these small fries that you purified? What a joke." After the second leader sneered, he suddenly shuddered a few times. Then, his doppelganger suddenly appeared on the altar. After this doppelganger appeared, it immediately charged towards Knight Sorrow and said coldly, "People like you are the enemy of the Blood Fiend organization. You must die today. You want to kill me? I'm afraid it's not enough with just your doppelganger." Knight Sorrow used the eye of the sea serpent to observe and found that the doppelganger of the second leader only had the strength of an upper heavenly supreme. It hadn't reached the level of a half-step to supreme realm. He said disdainfully and used the golden heavenly halberd to shoot out the godly spear. Then, he shot out the roaring flame demon spear at the 30 cultivators who were charging towards him. At the same time, seeing that Knight Sorrow had made his move, the cultivators who were summoned all started fighting with the 30 blood-red cultivators. "It seems that I have underestimated you. It seems that you, a lower heavenly supreme, are not easy to deal with." Facing Knight Sorrow's godly spear, the doppelganger summoned by the second leader wanted to take it head-on. However, it was blown apart by the spear. He immediately sneered. Chapter 33:10. The laughter of the second-in-command of the Blood Evil organization was filled with mockery and arrogance. Although the first clone had been killed in an instant, he did not take Knight Sorrow seriously at all. Hearing his laughter, Yishang coldly replied, "Why don't you come over and fight me yourself? If you don't dare to come down, I'll go up." "Hee hee. You want to come up? You'll have to defeat my puppet clone first. Otherwise, you don't have that right." Hearing this, the second-in-command, who was standing on the altar, let out a sinister laugh. Then, he summoned a puppet clone. This time, the clone he summoned had the aura of a half-step to the supreme realm. The skin on its face had been torn off by some unknown method, revealing the blackened flesh inside. It was wearing a gray robe that was stained with blood. Dripping blood flowed down, making the scene look extremely sinister. After sizing it up, Yishan was certain that this blood corpse avatar had been refined into a doppelganger by the second commander after killing a half-step Supreme Realm expert. The cruel thing was that the half-step to the Supreme Realm expert's face had been torn off. You've really barged into hell. I'm going to help my master tear you to pieces. I'm going to make a new puppet clone. While Night Sorrow was sizing up the bloody corpse, it let out a hoarse roar and flew up. It twisted its body and clawed viciously at Night Sorrow. A few of its fingernails instantly lengthened and scratched several dark, red, bloody marks in the void. Is being refined into a clone and helping the evildoer something that you want to do in your cultivation? In the face of the puppet clone's attack, Night Sorrow immediately used the defiant 9 steps to dodge and asked coldly, "Next, I'll help you completely free yourself." Without waiting for the puppet clone to react, he used the golden heavenly halberd and used the mysterious azure divine spear technique. Then he started fighting. This puppet clone was good at using its sharp claws for close combat, which was exactly what Night Sorrow wanted. Because close combat was not only fun to fight, but it was also faster to determine victory and defeat. Strong, it was strong. Weak, it was weak. Soon, the winner would be decided. Master, don't worry and fight. We will help you fend off these blood-red cultivators. Seeing Night Sorrow fighting with the puppet doppelganger summoned by the second leader of Blood Fiends, Yi Zichen was shocked. The three-eyed silver wolf that was fighting with Qing Yun against the crimson cultivator immediately roared. "Thank you." During the battle, Night Sorrow glanced at the cultivators who were fighting. When he realized that they were evenly matched with the other party, which was obviously better than he had expected, he was no longer as worried as before. However, he still transmitted his voice to Little Five. "Little Five, I can deal with this puppet clone. Take control of the Eternal Divine Tower, and think of a way to kill a few of the Scarlet Cultivators. That way, everyone can relax a lot." He was clear that the battle had just begun, and the three-eyed silver wolf and the others would definitely be able to hold on. However, they had yet to fully recover, so they would definitely be lacking in strength. Good, I'll find an opportunity to kill a few of them at once. After receiving the message, Little Five immediately controlled the Eternal Divine Tower and left Night Sorrow's side, flying towards the location where the three-eyed silver wolf and the others were fighting. Find an opportunity to attack. After arranging this matter, Night Sorrow no longer paid attention to Qing Yun and the others. He began to fight with the puppet clone in front of him in peace. This puppet clone no longer had any divine essence energy in its body. However, relying on the power of the blood pool, when it fought, its divine essence energy was even more abundant than Night Sorrow's. After fighting for a while, not only did its strength and speed not decrease, it became even stronger. Night Sorrow, who was originally evenly matched with it, gradually began to fall into a disadvantage. You think you have the ability to contend with a half-step extreme realm. What's the result now? How can an ant like you provoke a half-step extreme realm expert? Now go and die. Seeing Night Sorrow being suppressed by the puppet clone, the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization mocked sinisterly. Furthermore, right at this moment, he suddenly flew down from the altar, aiming at Night Sorrow's location. He directly blasted out a blood-colored scepter. This blood-colored scepter was clearly something from the altar. At the same time it flew out, it immediately received the support of the blood pool's energy. It bloomed with a shocking bloodlight. Boom! Night Sorrow, who was fighting with the puppet clone, executed the heaven-defying 9 steps in a situation where he was suppressed, wanting to dodge this attack. However, he did not succeed and was hit by the blood-colored scepter on his shoulder. The area above Night Sorrow's left shoulder was immediately smashed into a bloody mess, and even his bones were exposed. You came down? Just in time. Just in time to finish off the two of you together. Eternal Divine Tower, fight with me. After being hit by the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization's scepter, Night Sorrow suffered quite a bit of injury. However, he had the bloodline of the human wolf's supremacy. Under its repair, he quickly recovered completely. At this moment, Xiao had just controlled the Eternal Divine Tower and killed 5 blood-colored cultivators in an instant. Night Sorrow immediately summoned it over. All right, coming. After being summoned by Night Sorrow, Xiao immediately controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to fly to his side. At the same time, Night Sorrow activated the Green Phoenix armor. After that, he activated the Trestrimsa battle secret technique and the destruction divine ability again. Finally, he released the power of virtue that had advanced to the middle earthly sovereign level. He turned it into a dragon of virtue and wrapped it around the golden heavenly halberd. Now that the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization had flown down a fight, he also had the thought of risking his life. These things are not bad. They will belong to me in the future. Seeing that Night Sorrow had 3 half-step to the supreme level divine artifacts, the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization raised his head and revealed a sinister smile. He summoned more than 10 blood-colored corpses from the ground. The strength of these blood-colored corpses was basically on par with the blood-colored cultivators summoned from the blood pool. Seeing this situation, the 3-eyed silver wolf and Xingyun immediately started to worry about Night Sorrow. The 3-eyed silver wolf said, "Master, they should be able to deal with the remaining blood-colored cultivators. Xingyun and I will help you. No need. I should be able to fight." Facing the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization, his puppet clone, and more than 10 blood-colored corpses, Night Sorrow, who had completely unleashed his aura, roared and pierced the extreme flame phantom towards the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization. At the same time, he said, "Xiao Wu, attack those blood-colored corpses. There are too many of them. I can't deal with them. Leave it to us." However, the power in the Eternal Divine Tower is about to be exhausted. Xiao Wu responded and said helplessly, "No worries. After we defeat the 2 half-step to the supreme level experts in front of us, I will let you guys absorb them." As Night Sorrow responded, the golden heavenly halberd had already reached the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization. What surprised him was that the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization did not dodge this attack at all. The golden heavenly halberd directly pierced through his body. "You are." Night Sorrow suddenly discovered a secret. However, just as he opened his mouth, the puppet clone beside him attacked. It directly interrupted his sentence. www. Chapter 33:11. What Night Sorrow wanted to say was that the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization was clearly a liquid Holy Spirit. He was clearly a living being born from the blood pool. This was because when Night Sorrow stabbed out with his spear, his body instantly transformed into a liquid state. A huge hole appeared. Night Sorrow's golden heavenly halberd pierced through empty air and directly pierced through his body. At the same time, the blood of the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization also stained the golden heavenly halberd. After being stained by his blood, the golden heavenly halberd was instantly corroded into a blood-red color, looking extremely evil. And at this moment, the puppet clone of the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization had also attacked. Night Sorrow frowned and used the Dragon of Virtue to purify the golden heavenly halberd. At the same time, he used the Divine Essence Trap Array and the 33 Tao Words formula. He temporarily sealed the puppet clone within it. Then, before it could react, he used the Extreme Flame Phantom. Yishang did not look down on a half-step to the Paramount Realm clone. The speed of Extreme Flame Phantasm was extremely fast. When he used it, it directly bombarded the puppet avatar. The puppet doppelganger was sent flying. The golden heavenly halberd that had turned blood red slowly recovered under the purification of the Dragon of Virtue. "Bastard! How dare you hurt my puppet clone? Die!" Seeing that Night Sorrow had recovered the golden heavenly halberd, the second leader of the Blood Fiend organization flew into a rage. Then, he turned into a bloody mist and disappeared on the spot. The dozens of blood corpses that he summoned surrounded Night Sorrow one after another. They attacked continuously. At this moment, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Little Five. Control the Eternal Divine Tower and attack these blood corpses. From the looks of it, using the Eternal Divine Tower to attack 2 half-step to Supreme Realm existences shouldn't have much effect. It's better to attack these small ones. All right, I'll try my best to kill a few more. As Little Five responded, he used the Eternal Divine Tower's strongest attack on the blood corpses that were charging over. Night Sorrow cooperated with the Eternal Divine Tower and used the Merit Trap Array to slow down the blood corpses' speed by a lot. When the Eternal Divine Tower's attack landed on the Virtuous Trapping Array, more than half of the blood corpses were immediately destroyed. Night Sorrow counted. Originally, there were more than 10 blood corpses, but now there were only 9 left. Not good. However, just as Night Sorrow was rejoicing, a sense of crisis suddenly rose from the bottom of his heart. Without any hesitation, he used the 9 heaven-defying steps and left his original position. Just as he was about to leave, the Blood Fiend's second leader, who had transformed into a blood sword, suddenly pierced through where he had been standing. Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's eye to take a look and realized that the second leader of the Blood Fiends was attacking his Danteon. Obviously, he wanted to kill him in one strike. That was close. How can this guy's sneak attack be so silent? After Night Sorrow dodged, Little Seven immediately said in surprise. In fact, the sneak attack by the second leader of the Blood Evil organization was completely untraceable. Yishang had only dodged it because he felt uneasy on the spur of the moment. After Little Seven finished speaking, he frowned and said, "It should be because the blood aura here is too strong, and he is a creature born from the blood pool. That's why he can hide in the surrounding void without anyone noticing. It's really not easy to fight against him here." After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Little Seven replied and continued, "There's not much we can do for you. Let's kill a few more blood corpses." After saying that, Little Seven got Little Five to control the Eternal Divine Tower to attack the blood corpses in front of them again. After all, their attacks were at the level of half a step to the Supreme Realm. After attacking again, they killed another 4 blood corpses. The number of blood corpses in front of them was only 5. Well done. Seeing that the Eternal Divine Tower had killed another 4 blood corpses, Night Sorrow praised it and used his aura to lock onto the puppet doppelganger. Unleash a flaming attack on it. These bloody creatures in front of him gave off an extremely sinister feeling. He wanted to burn them with flames. As for the second leader of the blood corpses, he disappeared into the void again. He should be preparing another attack. Night Sorrow used the Sea Serpent's eye and couldn't see where he was hiding. Therefore, he couldn't take the initiative to attack him. Attacking the puppet doppelganger was the second best choice. What effect can it have against me if you don't even use your unique skill? After being attacked by Night Sorrow, the puppet doppelganger didn't bother to respond. At the same time, its aura suddenly increased. Then it waved its extremely long claws again. When the golden heavenly halberd collided with these claws, Night Sorrow realized that the puppet doppelganger had already refined its claws to the level of half a step to the Supreme Realm. Although these claws were at a slight disadvantage against the golden heavenly halberd, they could completely resist it and weren't shattered immediately. This was already very strong. Then, the two of them entered a temporary stalemate. Seeing that Night Sorrow and the puppet doppelganger were in a stalemate and couldn't kill it instantly, Xiaowu reminded, "Be careful of the second leader of the blood corpses in the void. I've been guarding against him, but I can't feel his presence at all." While Night Sorrow replied, he continued to attack the puppet doppelganger fiercely. When he attacked with flames, he also added the power of merit. After the power of merit showed its prowess, the puppet doppelganger was instantly afraid of the golden heavenly halberd's attack. Although it was thinking of ways to counterattack, it was still suppressed. Boundless blood. At this moment, the second leader of the blood corpses, who was hiding in the void, suddenly appeared above Night Sorrow and the puppet doppelganger. He stood in the void and summoned a large amount of blood from the blood pool. He sprinkled the blood on the 3-eyed silver wolf and the others who were fighting with the blood corpses. No wonder he didn't attack me. It turns out that he was plotting against others. Realizing that the second leader of the Blood Corpses wasn't his target, Night Sorrow was surprised and worried at the same time. He didn't want his purified friends to be instantly killed by the second leader of the Blood Corpses. Under such circumstances, he immediately blocked the path of the large amount of blood that was sprinkling down from the void. He used the fiery demon subduing spear. He used a large amount of flames to fight against the sea of blood that the second leader of the Blood Corpses summoned. Hee hee, you want to stop my sea of blood with just this little bit of flames? Dream on. Facing the fiery demon subduing spear that Night Sorrow used, the second leader of the Blood Corpses laughed sinisterly. Then, the sea of blood in front of him suddenly became dozens of times bigger. It was like a mountain that was pressing down from the void. The fiery demon subduing spear that Night Sorrow used was completely extinguished in an instant. Seeing that he couldn't stop the sea of blood in front of him, Night Sorrow immediately sent a voice transmission to everyone. All of you, enter my space grotto heaven. I can't stop this sea of blood. If you are buried by the sea of blood, you might never be able to come out. When did this sea of blood appear? When a three-eyed silver wolf heard this, he immediately looked up into the void. At this moment, he realized that the second leader of the Blood Corpses had summoned the sea of blood and was surprised. Chapter 33:12. It was the same for the other cultivators. They only realized the existence of the blood sea when they heard the warning. Everyone was just like the three-eyed silver wolf. They were all shocked. However, they did not resist and allowed Night Sorrow to suck them into the space grotto heaven. Oomph. Do you think it's useful to keep them in your space grotto heaven? I can catch all of you in one fell swoop. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization watched as Night Sorrow sucked everyone into the space grotto heaven. With a cold laugh, he controlled the blood sea that filled the sky and pressed down on Yishan. The blood sea covered a large area. It was basically impossible to avoid it in this small world. Night Sorrow thought it would be hard to avoid it. Therefore, he used the 9 steps of heaven defying and flew towards the almost empty blood sea. He used the god spear on the blood evil altar. According to his judgment, as long as the altar was destroyed, the second leader of the blood evil organization's strength would be greatly reduced. As long as his strength was reduced, the blood sea was nothing to be afraid of. However, the blood evil altar was the lifeblood of the blood evil organization. Naturally, the second leader of the blood evil organization would not watch Night Sorrow destroy it. Just as Night Sorrow attacked, the puppet that had recovered a little appeared to block the god spear. Although it was a little difficult to block it and was injured, it successfully protected the altar. Moreover, the blood sea controlled by the second leader of the blood evil organization was already pressing down on him. Night Sorrow did not have time to attack again. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow released his power of virtue again and wrapped it around the green phoenix battle armor. He used the dragon's roar and phoenix's roar against the blood sea. He wanted to use this attack to disperse the blood sea. However, things did not go as he wished. After Night Sorrow used this attack, a small gap was opened in the blood sea for a short period of time. However, it quickly closed up. It did not give Night Sorrow a chance to pass through it. Seeing the blood sea pressing down on him, Xiaowu did not wait for Night Sorrow to speak and controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to attack. However, although the Eternal Divine Tower's attack was very powerful, when it landed on the sea of blood, it was like a boulder thrown into the sea. It stirred up thousands of waves, but eventually calmed down. F***CK. Wasn't this blood sea a little strange? Logically speaking, even if it's a half step into the Supreme Realm, it shouldn't be completely immune to our attacks, right? Little 5 couldn't accept the fact that his attack didn't have any effect. There should be a way to counter everything. The sea of blood in front of us shouldn't be something that can be dealt with by brute force. Night Sorrow said word by word as he observed the incoming blood sea with the sea serpent's eye. As he spoke, he could clearly see the faces of ghosts in the sea of blood. These ghostly faces looked like they were in extreme pain. They should be the souls that were sealed in the blood sea. Hee hee, just wait to be swallowed up. See you in the blood sea. At this moment, the second leader of Blood Fiends saw that the Eternal Divine Tower's attack didn't have any effect on Blood Sea. Suddenly, he began to laugh cruelly. Then, he raised his hands and controlled the Sea of Blood, directly engulfing the area where Night Sorrow was. Night Sorrow, who had raised his power of merit defense, was actually prepared to be engulfed by the Sea of Blood. He wasn't flustered at all. After entering the Blood Sea, he tried his best to stabilize his body and defend his surroundings to prevent any sneak attacks. However, the second leader of Blood Fiends didn't launch any sneak attacks until he reached the bottom of the Blood Sea and stood on the bloody mud. After standing firm, Night Sorrow saw the second leader of Blood Fiends waiting for him with his puppet doppelganger and over 10 bloody corpses. Seeing Night Sorrow standing firm, the second leader of Blood Fiends laughed sinisterly. Very soon, you will become a member of the Blood Sea. With your addition, the Blood Sea will definitely increase by a lot. Stop dreaming. Do you think you can defeat me here? Standing in the Blood Sea that had an extremely choking smell of blood, Night Sorrow replied coldly. At this moment, he was protected by the power of merit and didn't feel any discomfort. However, he could sense that the aura of the second leader of Blood Fiends and the rest had all strengthened significantly. This should be the enhancement from the Blood Sea. Hee hee, not only will I defeat you, but I will also defeat those people in your space grotto heaven. All of you will become my food. The second leader of Blood Fiends roared and ordered Puppet Doppelganger, go and help me kill him directly. Yes, Master, the Puppet Doppelganger responded. At the bottom of the Blood Sea, it used its bloody claws and clawed at Night Sorrow. This time, its speed was 3 to 4 times faster than when it was outside, and the strength of its attack was also much stronger. Facing its attack, Night Sorrow didn't have any extra power of merit to use. He could only use the Divine Vitality Trap array and the 100 Words of Mantra. He reduced its speed. After that, he roared out the Nirvana Heartfire that he had learned from Su Lei. This move mainly targeted the Divine Soul. After it was used, it might not have much effect on the Puppet Doppelganger. However, it drove away all the Divine Souls in the surrounding Blood Sea and made them stay away from the battle area. After driving away these Divine Souls that were sealed in the Blood Sea, Night Sorrow noticed that the strength of the Puppet Doppelganger instantly decreased greatly. It seems that the key to increasing their strength in the Blood Sea is mainly the Divine Souls in the Blood Sea. Night Sorrow, who had blocked the Puppet Doppelganger's attack, transmitted his voice to the many cultivators in the space grotto heaven. At this moment, Little Seven said, Night Sorrow, I have an idea, but it's a little cruel. I don't know if I should do it. Just say it, Night Sorrow said as he fought against the Puppet Doppelganger. I can control the Eternal Divine Tower to collect the Divine Souls in the Blood Sea. But after they are collected, they will become the energy of the Eternal Divine Tower. In other words, they will be completely destroyed. Little Seven explained. Hearing this, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and told the three-eyed silver wolf and the others about this matter. After that, they discussed for a while. The three-eyed silver wolf, as the representative, said, Master, letting the divine souls of so many relatives and friends be destroyed, we will definitely feel uncomfortable in our hearts. But this is a very special moment. If we don't break the Blood Sea, even we will be left here. Therefore, after discussing, we have decided to support Master in collecting them. We will no longer let them be tools to help the evildoers. I think that they themselves should also support us in doing this. The torture they have suffered in the Blood Sea will definitely exceed our imagination. Qin Yun said with a gloomy expression, although making such a choice was very uncomfortable for everyone. But in the current situation, they could only do this. All right. After Night Sorrow received the opinions of Qin Yun, the three-eyed silver wolf, and the others, he sighed. He ordered, Little Seven, go and do it. Actually, I feel that by doing this, we are also letting them be free. It is no different from expiation. Little Seven said, and began to collect the divine souls in the blood sea. www. Chapter 33:13. After the eternal divine tower was activated, it absorbed tens of thousands of souls in an instant. Moreover, when the souls in the blood pool discovered that the eternal divine tower could absorb souls, they were like moths that saw fire. All of them rushed over and entered the eternal divine tower. Obviously, this proved Little Seven's words. To them, this was really a relief. Seeing this scene, Qing Yun sighed and said, "Looks like it's really as Little Seven said." For them, this is a form of relief. What's going on? The second leader of the Blood Fiends, who originally thought that victory was within his grasp, saw the souls around him being absorbed by the eternal divine tower. He immediately sneered in surprise. Then, he could no longer remain calm. He extended the blood-colored scepter in his hand and attacked the eternal divine tower. You want to attack the eternal divine tower? Dream on. Seeing the second leader of the Blood Fiends attacking the eternal divine tower, Night Sorrow immediately held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand and blocked the blood-colored light from the blood-colored scepter. I originally wanted to toy with you, but now it seems that you want to die faster. The second leader of the Blood Fiends roared and completely merged with the Blood Sea. He completely hid in the Blood Sea. I thought you wanted to fight head-on. I didn't expect you to be hiding. Seeing that the second leader of the Blood Fiends had merged with the Blood Sea, Night Sorrow immediately used the Sea Serpent's eye to observe, but he couldn't see through him. After all, the second leader of the Blood Fiends was born in the Blood Pool and was naturally one with the Blood Sea. It's not up to you whether I'm hiding or not. After hiding, the second leader of the Blood Fiends continued. Puppet clones, countless blood corpses, blood-colored cultivators. Become one with me. After he gave the order, the puppet clones all dissolved into blood water and poured into the blood pool. After absorbing the energy they provided, the second leader of the Blood Fiends immediately controlled the power of the Blood Sea to attack the eternal divine tower. At this moment, the eternal divine tower had already absorbed hundreds of thousands of souls under Little Seven's control. Facing the pressure of the blood water around him, he immediately set up a defensive layer as his own defense. After summoning the defensive layer, the eternal divine tower was temporarily very safe. After the second leader of the Blood Evil organization merged with the Blood Sea, his attacks naturally became more secretive. He could use the blood water to attack. However, there were pros and cons. His attack power was obviously much lower. All of you have been in the Blood Evil organization before. Can anyone tell me what I should do in this situation? Night Sorrow had no idea where to start, as the second leader of the Blood Evil organization had merged with the Blood. Hence, he asked. At this moment, Qing Yun replied, "There's no need to rush. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization would reappear. When the time comes, we just need to defeat him." The three-eyed silver wolf reminded. After the second leader of the Blood Evil organization reappears, his strength will increase by a lot. Master, you must be careful. In addition, if Master needs assistance, you can absorb our divine essence energy at any time. I got it. Hearing this, Night Sorrow more or less understood what the second leader of the Blood Evil organization was plotting. He obviously wanted to use the cover of the Sea of Blood to merge with the puppet doppelganger. He raised his strength to the maximum. He was more or less relieved. After the other party fused, the situation became much simpler. As long as he could destroy it, all the problems would be solved. So, just as Night Sorrow was replying to the three-eyed silver wolf, sharp blades formed by the blood suddenly appeared in the Sea of Blood and shot towards Night Sorrow. These sharp blades included sabers, spears, swords, halberds, hatchets, hooks, and forks. After they appeared, they immediately gave Night Sorrow a lot of pressure, because he realized that these attacks were at the level of half-step to extreme state and were not easy to deal with. While using 9 heaven-defying steps to dodge, he waved the golden heavenly halberd to resist. After resisting for a while, Knight Sorrow realized that the golden heavenly halberd had cracks on it. A weapon formed by blood is actually so powerful. Realizing that the golden heavenly halberd had cracks on it, Knight Sorrow was surprised. At the same time, he saw that the Eternal Divine Tower had also encountered a similar attack. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization could control the entire sea of blood and could use the blood to create weapons at will to exhaust them. At this moment, Little Seven transmitted a message. Knight Sorrow, we can't continue to be attacked like this. We might not be able to hold on. I think that if we continue to stay in the sea of blood, we might continue to be attacked like this. Let's think of a way to leave the sea of blood. Knight Sorrow replied and kept the Eternal Divine Tower in his grotto heaven, no longer allowing it to absorb souls. He used the 9 steps of defiance of the heavens and soared straight up to the surface of the blood sea. It's not as easy as you think to escape from the sea of blood. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization sneered when he realized that Knight Sorrow wanted to leave the sea of blood. Then, his figure appeared again, and he blocked Knight Sorrow's escape route. Knight Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to take a look and realized that the second leader of the Blood Evil organization in front of him had indeed improved a lot. Obviously, he had completely completed the fusion. He pointed at the other party with the golden heavenly halberd and said, I originally thought that you wouldn't come out so soon. Since you've come out, I'll kill you. I'm afraid you don't have the ability to kill me. As the second leader of the Blood Evil organization spoke, he raised his hand and summoned countless divine weapons to attack Knight Sorrow. These divine weapons were obviously more powerful than the previous ones. Even the golden heavenly halberd couldn't block them. Under such circumstances, Knight Sorrow immediately ignited his Phoenix bloodline and Jielin bloodline. After igniting the 2 bloodlines, Knight Sorrow's aura was further enhanced. He waved his hand and shot a true Phoenix fire at the second leader of the Blood Evil organization. Your bloodline is not bad, but it's not powerful enough. Facing Knight Sorrow's true Phoenix fire, the second leader of the Blood Evil organization, who controlled thousands of divine weapons, mocked him and summoned a blood-red barrier to block it. After successfully blocking Knight Sorrow's attack, the second leader of the Blood Evil organization sneered. You could be proud of yourself for fighting me to this extent with your cultivation of a lower heavenly sovereign. But everything for you is about to end. Accept your fate. As soon as he finished speaking, the second leader of the Blood Evil organization merged all the summoned divine weapons together and formed a blood-red longsword. He placed it on the top of the blood-red scepter and slashed it at Knight Sorrow. This attack brought about an endless blood-red glow. Its power was something that Knight Sorrow had never encountered before. After observing it with the sea serpent's eye, Knight Sorrow confirmed that this move had reached the peak of the half-step to the Supreme Realm. This level of attack was obviously beyond his current limit. He shouldn't be able to block it no matter what. Under such circumstances, Knight Sorrow frowned and said, It seems that I have to use that move to block it. www. Chapter 33:14. 1 second to remember love on /you reading /book wonderful. No pop-up window, free reading. Which move? Can you block an attack of this level? Seeing that the second leader of the Blood Evil organization's attack was so powerful, Xiao asked through telepathy. If you can't block it, you can use the Eternal Divine Tower to block it. Although we will be heavily injured, we will not be destroyed. After all, our essence is supreme, class, divine artifact. No need, I still have a way. The situation was critical, and Knight Sorrow did not have time to explain further. After a simple reply, he ignited the Leakin bloodline hidden in his body. This was the bloodline from the Supreme class. Originally, Knight Sorrow did not want to use it, as he was afraid that the other party would have a backup plan that would be disadvantageous to him. But now, if he did not completely activate it, he would not be able to block the attack of the second leader of the Blood Evil organization. He would die here. The people on the island would die in the hands of the evil old demon. The eternal supreme world and the eternal ancient desolate world would be completely destroyed. Everything would end. He had no other choice. After igniting the Leakin bloodline, Knight Sorrow's eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. He could not help but roar. At the same time, Knight Sorrow's aura became more than 10 times stronger in an instant. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization's fatal attack also became much slower in his eyes. In terms of power, it did not seem so terrifying anymore. Just SOSO. In the process of dodging, he waited until his aura gradually stabilized. Knight Sorrow roared and raised the golden heavenly halberd. Using all his strength, he slashed towards the saber of the second leader of the Blood Evil organization. According to his judgment, the material of the golden heavenly halberd was definitely not inferior to the opponent's saber. His own strength should be about the same. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization was also confident in himself. Although Knight Sorrow's aura had increased a lot in an instant, he still felt that he would win. Thus, the two divine weapons violently clashed together. Buzz! A muffled sound was heard. After Knight Sorrow and the second leader of the Blood Evil organization collided, the huge shock wave almost evaporated the surrounding blood sea. Knight Sorrow and the second in command of Blood Fiends flew backward at the same time. At the same time, the two of them were shocked to find that neither of them could withstand the shock waves from the collision. A moment later, Knight Sorrow lay on the ground in a sorry state. It was unknown how many of his bones were broken, and the flesh on his body was badly mangled. Even his dantian was severely injured. If not for the fact that Zhang Xian had used his power of virtue to envelop his dantian at the very last moment, his dantian would have been crippled. Not far away, Bloody Malevolence's second leader was not much better off. Even his stooped body had straightened quite a bit from the impact. The injuries on his body were similar to Knight Sorrow's. Under such circumstances, he had already lost the ability to turn into blood. This shockwave is too terrifying. Seeing Knight Sorrow and the second leader of the Blood Malevolence being bombarded into such a state, Xiaowu, who was in the space paradise, said with lingering fear, "Even if the Eternal Divine Tower were to receive such an attack, it would still be damaged beyond recognition. It's all right. It didn't kill me instantly, so there's still a chance," Knight Sorrow said. Then he released Three-Eyed Silver Wolf, Qing Yun, and the rest. He said, "While Bloody Malevolence's second leader is severely injured, help me kill him. Master, rest well and leave this guy to us." Hearing this, Three-Eyed Silver Wolf did not hesitate and rushed toward Bloody Malevolence's second leader. Bloody Malevolence's second leader did not have any helpers by his side. It looked like the situation was one-sided. However, Qing Yun suddenly saw a trace of disdain in Bloody Malevolence's second leader's eyes. "Oh no! Everyone be careful!" After noticing Bloody Malevolence's second leader's disdain and calmness, Qing Yun reminded everyone immediately. "Who cares? Let's attack him first." At this moment, Xiao was controlling the Eternal Divine Tower to attack Bloody Malevolence's second leader. Seeing the Eternal Divine Tower's attack coming toward him, Bloody Malevolence's second leader was not shocked. Instead, he laughed. He let out a dry laugh and stood up from the ground. Looking at the altar, he silently chanted a mysterious incantation. After a moment, the altar suddenly shot a ray of bloody light toward Bloody Malevolence's second leader. Being nourished by the bloody light, Bloody Malevolence's second leader's injuries recovered instantly. After recovering, he immediately held the bloody scepter in his hand and clashed with the Eternal Divine Tower's attack. He successfully blocked the Eternal Divine Tower's attack. Seeing Bloody Malevolence's second leader recover so quickly with the help of the altar's power and unleash such a low-grade attack, Three-Eyed Silver Wolf, Qing Yun, and the rest were all dumbfounded, because this level of attack was obviously from a half-step to Supreme Realm. They could not withstand it at all. Asking them to kill Bloody Malevolence's second leader was simply courting death. What should we do? Bloody Malevolence's second leader has the help of the altar. We can't deal with him. Three-eyed Silverwolf sighed. Then, he suddenly made up his mind and shouted, "Our lives were saved by Master. No matter what, Master is our hope. Even if we have to risk our lives, we must protect him." After saying that, he attacked Bloody Malevolence's second leader from afar. Influenced by Three-Eyed Silverwolf, the other cultivators also attacked Bloody Malevolence's second leader. Although they knew that they were no match for him, they did not want to be captured without a fight. At the same time, they were also looking forward to a miracle. However, reality was cruel. After they launched their attack, Bloody Malevolence's second leader flew into a rage. Sinister Chi said, "Today you've caused the blood pool to lose so much blood. Then turn all of it into blood and fill the blood pool for me." After saying that, he attacked Three-Eyed Silverwolf and the rest. Facing this attack, they were a little flustered. At the critical moment, Little Five controlled the Eternal Divine Tower to attack again. This attack successfully dissolved Bloody Malevolence's second leader's attack. It could be considered as saving Three-Eyed Silverwolf, who bore the brunt of the attack. Hee. Let's see how many times your divine weapon can launch such an attack. After the attack was blocked by the Eternal Divine Tower, Bloody Malevolence's second leader's brows became extremely cold. Then, he launched the same attack as before. This time, Little Five could only look at the attack and sigh. He reminded, "The Eternal Divine Tower has no more energy. I can't block this attack. Hurry and disperse to prevent more casualties." Disperse. Everyone disperse. Hearing Little Five's reminder, Three-Eyed Silverwolf immediately roared to remind them. Actually, even without his reminder, everyone knew that the attack of Bloody Malevolence's second leader was not something they could take head-on. They all spread out in this small world. Ha 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 ha! All of you have to die. All of you have to die. Seeing that everyone had started to dodge, Bloody Malevolence's second leader laughed extremely cruelly. Chapter 33:15. Damn it! The Three-Eyed Silver Wolf roared indignantly when the second leader of the Blood Fiends laughed so exaggeratedly. However, he didn't dare to stay any longer as he was afraid of being hit by the second leader of the Blood Fiends' attack. He transformed into a wolf and fled continuously. After all, he would definitely die if he was hit by an attack from someone who was half a step to the Supreme State. He deserves to die. He deserves to be hacked into pieces. But we can't do it. Qingyan also roared. She was also indignant, but she didn't have the ability to fight back. The second leader of the Blood Fiends was obviously a level higher than them. They couldn't threaten him. The other cultivators were similar. They were like a flock of sheep being chased by a ferocious tiger as they fled continuously. The second leader of the Blood Fiends was like a ferocious tiger as he attacked everyone continuously. No one was willing to admit defeat, but no one was a match for him. They could only flee passively. I can't accept this. We lost just like that. I can't accept this. Little Five also roared angrily. At this moment, Little Seven suddenly asked, "Where did Night Sorrow go? Why is he missing? Did something happen to him?" Huh? He's missing? Hearing this, Little Five realized that the severely injured Night Sorrow had disappeared. Little Five immediately sent a voice transmission. "Night Sorrow, where did you go? Are you in danger?" However, he didn't receive any response even after sending a voice transmission for a long time. Little Five said to Little Seven and the rest, "Oh no, I sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow, but there's no response at all. What's going on? Anything can happen to anyone, but Yi Shan absolutely can't." Little Eight said worriedly and continued, "Let's hurry and find him in case anything happens to him. After all, he was severely injured just now." "All right, let's hurry and find him. Nothing can happen to Night Sorrow." Little Seven agreed. Boom! At this moment, the attack of the second leader of the Blood Fiends landed on the Eternal Divine Tower, sending it flying. Little 5, Little 7, and the others were temporarily knocked unconscious by this shock. Because of this, the Eternal Divine Tower fell to the ground, not to mention searching for Knight Sorrow's traces. He watched as the Eternal Divine Tower was heavily damaged and fell to the ground. The second leader of the Blood Evil organization temporarily gave up on attacking the others. He flew over from the void and said with a sinister smile, "Hee. Another half-step supreme stage divine artifact. If I collect more and purify the materials, I might be able to synthesize a true supreme class divine artifact." As he spoke, he prepared to put the Eternal Divine Tower into his own space. Bastard, Master's divine artifact is not something you can touch. Seeing that the second leader of the Blood Fiends wanted to take the Eternal Divine Tower, the three-eyed silver wolf let out a loud roar and pounced towards him. "Ant-like thing, are you courting death? I'll fulfill your wish." The second leader of the Blood Fiends, who had wanted to take the Eternal Divine Tower, was enraged when he saw the three-eyed silver wolf attacking him. He struck at the three-eyed silver wolf. "Three eyes, be careful." Qing Yun's pupils constricted when she saw the second leader of the Blood Fiends unleashing a half-step supreme stage attack. However, she did not have the ability to help at all and could only be anxious. It was the same for the other cultivators present. They all realized that the three-eyed silver wolf could not dodge this attack and would be killed. However, they could not help at all, because with their speed, even if they attacked, they would not be able to stop the second leader of the Blood Fiends. "Oh no, I can't dodge this attack at all." The three-eyed silver wolf only woke up from his impulsiveness when he faced the attack of the second leader of the Blood Fiends. At this moment, he was more desperate than anyone else present. While the others were grieving for him, he had completely given up resisting. However, he did not regret it, because even if he did not rush up now, he would definitely be played to death by the second leader of the Blood Fiends. Because Knight Sorrow was not around, the second leader of the Blood Fiends became an existence that no one could check. He could wreak havoc here as he wished. "Hee. Why aren't you fighting back or resisting? Are you prepared to die?" Seeing that the three-eyed silver wolf had no intention of fighting back, the second leader of the Blood Fiends mocked him in disdain. He waved his blood-colored scepter at it. He was prepared to smash the three-eyed silver wolf's head. At this moment, as a female cultivator, Qing Yun even closed her eyes and did not dare to watch anymore. She was afraid to see the scene of the three-eyed silver wolf's head being smashed. "It should be you who is prepared to die, right?" At this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded in the void. After that, a figure suddenly blocked in front of the three-eyed silver wolf and shot a fierce shot at the second leader of the Blood Fiends. "What? You've actually fully recovered? How is this possible?" "This is absolutely impossible." The second leader of the Blood Fiends, who originally thought that he would definitely kill the three-eyed silver wolf, was surprised when he saw the figure in front of him, because the figure in front of him was Knight Sorrow, who had fully recovered. Not only had his injuries healed, but even his aura had also completely recovered. The second leader of the Blood Fiends did not believe that Knight Sorrow could completely recover in such a short period of time. At the moment when he was absent-minded, he was sent flying by a blow. There are many things that are impossible, but when it comes to me, nothing is impossible. After sending the second leader of the Blood Fiends flying, Knight Sorrow kept the three-eyed silver wolf and the Eternal Divine Tower into the space grotto heaven, allowing them to completely escape from danger. He looked at the others and said, "Everyone, you've worked hard. Thank you for helping me to hold him back. Otherwise, no matter how strong my recovery ability is, I won't be able to recover." Amazing. He's really fully recovered. Even his aura has recovered to its peak state. The second leader of the Blood Fiends is dead for sure. We're saved. The eternal, ancient, desolate world is saved. After confirming that Knight Sorrow had completely recovered, Qing Yun was so excited that she even cried out. She could not help but cheer. Under her influence, the other cultivators also became excited. Originally, they all thought that they would be tortured to death by the second leader of the Blood Fiends. They did not expect Night Sorrow to recover so quickly. You've actually recovered to your peak state. How did you do that? After confirming that Night Sorrow had completely recovered, the second leader of the Blood Fiends asked in disbelief. Back then, he had relied on the power of the altar to successfully recover. This power was irreversible, and he could only use it once. If Night Sorrow had the ability to continuously recover, then today his ending would have been decided. Hearing the second leader of the Blood Fiends question, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "Of course, I relied on the power of the bloodline to successfully recover. Prepare to die. As long as you can't kill me in one hit today, I'll be able to kill you and destroy the altar." After saying that, Night Sorrow did not give the second leader of the Blood Fiends any chance to react. He attacked him with a flaming blow. Chapter 33:16. You relied on the power of your bloodline to recover. Could it be that your bloodline is at the level of the Supreme Bloodline? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the second leader of Blood Malevolence roared in surprise. At the same time, he waved his blood-colored scepter and struck out a blow that emitted a bloody light, blocking Night Sorrow's attack. It's the Supreme Bloodline. Why? Are you scared? Night Sorrow did not lie to the second leader of Blood Malevolence. The main reason for his recovery was naturally the bloodline that he had inherited from the Leaken Supreme. The recovery ability of this Leaken bloodline was simply heaven-defying. Even Night Sorrow himself was surprised that he could recover so quickly after being injured to such an extent and almost dying. However, he did not know that the reason why he could recover so quickly was also related to the Phoenix bloodline in his body. It was the combination of the Leaken bloodline and the Phoenix bloodline that allowed his originally strong body to have such a heaven-defying recovery ability. At the end of the day, it had a very important connection with his many years of accumulation. At this moment, Night Sorrow's aura was at its peak. He did not even carefully keep many of the cultivators present in his space grotto heaven. He attacked the second leader of Blood Malevolence again. This time, he struck out a very basic attack again. However, at the same time, he struck out a merit trap array at the second leader of Blood Malevolence. It's the power of merit again. Seeing Night Sorrow strike with the power of merit, the second leader of Blood Malevolence was instantly enraged. He was very wary of the power of merit. However, he had no choice. In order to prevent Night Sorrow from piercing his body, he waved the blood-colored scepter in his hand and destroyed the merit trap array, just as the second leader of Blood Malevolence destroyed the merit trap array. Night Sorrow also stopped his attack. Suddenly, he used his movement technique and quickly flew in the direction of the Blood Malevolence altar. After getting close, he struck the divine shot at the blood-colored altar. The divine shot this time was the strongest attack that Night Sorrow could unleash. Oh no, what a cunning thing. The second leader of Blood Malevolence, who did not expect Night Sorrow to give up on him to attack the altar at such a moment when his momentum was at its peak, instantly cried out in surprise when he regained his senses. At the same time, he used his blood-red scepter to unleash his strongest attack towards Night Sorrow. He wanted to besiege Wei to rescue Zhao, because he knew that it was impossible to stop Night Sorrow's attack. Boom! Not long after the second leader of Blood Fiend launched his attack, Night Sorrow's attack landed on the Blood Fiend altar. After being struck by Night Sorrow's divine spear, the Blood Fiend altar didn't seem to suffer any damage. But in truth, its blood-red protective layer had dimmed by a great deal. Just then, Qing Yun, who saw the second leader of Bloodlust attacking Night Sorrow, reminded him loudly, "Be careful. Don't worry. If I can think of attacking the altar, I can also think of him attacking me." At the same time, Night Sorrow used the 100 Words mantra to increase his speed. Then, he used the 9 Defiant Steps and successfully dodged the attack. This caused the blood-red scepter's attack to fly directly towards the sky. The moment the blood-red scepter brushed past him, Night Sorrow flew towards the second leader of Blood Malevolence again with a golden heavenly halberd, which was half a step to Supreme class. And he used the Extreme Flame Phantom. The second leader of Blood Malevolence, who had lost his blood-red scepter, wanted to summon his divine weapon back, but it was too late. Under such circumstances, he suddenly turned his body into blood water and scattered it in the air to dodge Night Sorrow's attack. I knew you would do this. The second leader of Blood Malevolence turned his body into blood water and scattered it in the air. Night Sorrow immediately used the Nirvana Heart Fire that he had learned from Sule. This move immediately caused the second leader of Blood Malevolence, who had turned into blood water, to scatter further. Then, he used the descent of all evil that he had learned from Whirling Lady. At this moment, the second leader of Blood Malevolence's body had turned into blood water and scattered it in the air. He had no way of dodging such a large-scale attack. He was directly hit by the descent of all evil. When the second leader of Blood Malevolence turned into a human again and held the blood-red scepter in his hand, his blood-red body was already covered with black misfortune. Is this the curse from above? Realizing that he was plagued by misfortune, the second leader of Blood Malevolence instantly roared, "This is a curse that will take your life. I still need to go back and kill the Blood Malevolence old demon and the rest. You have delayed long enough. It's time for you to welcome death." Night Sorrow's words were like a judgment that nailed the second leader of Blood Malevolence. "Even if I, Bloodpool, die, I won't let you destroy the altar." At this moment, the second leader of Blood Malevolence finally admitted his real name. He was a holy spirit that was born in the blood pool, and his name was Bloodpool. "Bloodpool, you will die, and you won't be able to protect the altar." With that, Night Sorrow began to suppress the blood pool once more. At this moment, the second leader of Blood Malevolence, Bloodpool, was plagued by misfortune. He was extremely unlucky during the battle. Under such circumstances, he no longer had the ability to fight against Night Sorrow. Originally, his plan was to kill all the cultivators present and then perish together with Night Sorrow. However, after fighting for about an hour, he didn't kill a single cultivator. Moreover, he was continuously suppressed by Night Sorrow and was forced to retreat. In the end, the blessing that the altar gave him completely disappeared, and Bloodpool was also pierced through by Night Sorrow's spear. "Leave him to us." Little Five, who had woken up after Yishang had killed Shuama, immediately blurted out, "All right, absorb him in and convert him into energy to repair the Eternal Divine Tower." Night Sorrow said and summoned the Eternal Divine Tower from the space grotto heaven, while Xiaowu was controlling the Eternal Divine Tower to absorb Bloodpool. Night Sorrow held the golden heavenly halberd and started attacking the Blood Malevolence altar. At this moment, on a faraway island, old demon Blood Malevolence had led his subordinates to successfully break the array set up by the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World. They faced everyone on the island directly. Under such circumstances, Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear led their men to block old demon Blood Malevolence and the others. "Ha ha! You only have a few heavenly sovereigns here. The rest are all ants below the Earth sovereign level. With such strength, you still dare to block me?" Seeing that there were only a few heavenly sovereigns in the team led by Supreme Longevity, the rest were mostly Earth sovereigns. Old demon Blood Malevolence said disdainfully, "When we fight, it's a competition of strength, not cultivation. Although your subordinates are all heavenly sovereigns, their combat strength might not be stronger than our Earth sovereigns. We will only know who is stronger after the battle." Facing old demon Blood Malevolence, Supreme Longevity didn't back down. However, at the same time, he transmitted his voice to the people behind him. "The Blood Malevolence organization's strength is far stronger than we expected. Everyone behind, get ready to move." Chapter 33:17. Facing old demon Blood Demon and more than 200 heavenly sovereigns, Supreme Longevity was a hero of his generation. But he was powerless. Moreover, he knew that even though he said he wanted the people behind to move, where could they move to? The eternal supreme world had already fallen. The eternal ancient barren world was basically in Blood Demon's pocket. Where could the old, weak, and sick people of the eternal supreme world and eternal ancient barren world be moved to? At this moment, he could only hope that a miracle would happen. He thought to himself, I wonder how Yishang is doing with that matter. If he can quickly destroy the Blood Fiend altar, we might still have a chance. If he can't, I'm afraid the people will be in a terrible situation. Ha ha! Supreme Longevity, you're still so stubborn even at this point. This is meaningless. Old Demon Blood Demon scanned the situation on the island with his soul power and confirmed that the two worlds were not hiding their strength. It was because their team only had so many heavenly sovereigns. Victory was in his hands. If you are willing to join my Blood Demon organization, I can consider leaving some seats for you and select some talented people to join. I won't kill all of you. Cut the crap. Old Demon Blood Demon. No one in our two worlds will submit to the Blood Demon organization. If you want to fight, come. Sule, who was looking at Old Demon Blood Demon with hatred, shouted coldly. Her entire kingdom had been killed by the Blood Demon organization. Her hatred for Old Demon Blood Demon could no longer be described with words. Aren't you the empress who fought for us even after her kingdom was destroyed? Why, are you so angry that you want to kill me? After Old Demon Blood Demon saw Sule clearly, he immediately recognized her identity and provoked her coldly. You deserve to die. Although Sule knew that she was no match for Old Demon Blood Demon, she was still infuriated. Immediately, she took out her half-step ultimate class divine artifact and attacked. Ha ha! You overestimate yourself. But a half-step ultimate class divine artifact is not bad. After Sule attacked, Old Demon Blood Demon mocked her and attacked her. Sule, you deal with the others. Leave Old Demon Blood Demon to me. Seeing Old Demon Blood Demon attacking Sule, Supreme Longevity immediately raised his coiling dragon spear and stood in front of Old Demon Blood Demon, fighting him. You will die in my hands. Sule, who was stopped by Supreme Longevity, shouted at Old Demon Blood Fiend. Then, he turned around and attacked the other members of the Blood Fiend organization. At this time, there were not many experts in the Blood Evil organization who could go against Sule. After the battle broke out, Sule quickly killed 2 to 3 heavenly sovereigns from a Blood Evil organization. Seeing Sule's performance, Old Demon Blood Demon immediately transmitted his voice. Blood Fox, go and kill that Sule, in case she continues to act violently. Yes, Patriarch, the cultivator of the Blood Evil organization, known as the Snow Fox, received the order and immediately went to stop Sule. They were locked in a stalemate. As for Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear, they were able to hold their own against Old Demon Blood Fiend at first. However, after fighting for an hour, they gradually could not keep up with Old Demon Blood Fiend's speed. Old Demon Blood Fiend, who had already shown his speed when he was chasing Night Sorrow, had an extremely high talent in speed. Using this advantage, he quickly restrained Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear. He was not in a hurry to take advantage of the two, because the Blood Evil organization currently had a more obvious advantage in the overall battle situation. Although there were many cultivators in the Eternal Supreme World and Eternal Ancient Desolate World, the number of top fighters was pitifully small. After all, Sule could already be ranked in the top 3 here. Under the collective attack of more than 200 heavenly sovereigns from the Blood Evil organization, the cultivators of the two worlds were gradually forced to retreat. Ha ha ha! The battle strength of the two worlds is indeed only so. If I had known, I would have killed you all a few months ago. Seeing that his subordinates had successfully suppressed the cultivators of the two worlds and even killed some of them, Old Demon Blood Fiend, who was locked in a stalemate with Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear, laughed proudly. At this moment, he had not even unleashed 70% of his strength. seeing the cultivators of the two worlds being forced to retreat again and again. Supreme Longevity was anxious in his heart. When the cultivators had retreated to a certain extent, they could already see the commoners as far as their eyes could see. Supreme Longevity roared, "Cultivators of the two worlds, hear my command. From now on, we would rather die in battle than retreat, even half a step. Protect our home with our lives. Protect our home with our lives. Protect our home with our lives." After Supreme Longevity came out, the cultivators of the two worlds in battle instantly roared together. In an instant, their morale increased by a lot. After that, the battle became even more intense. The cultivators of the two worlds, who had sworn to not retreat, all took out a desperate attitude. They often exchanged blood for blood, death for death, and fought to the death with the cultivators of the Blood Evil organization. After fighting for 2 hours in such an environment, close to 100 cultivators from the two realms had perished, and more than 30 cultivators of the Blood Evil organization had also been killed. The battle situation was extremely tragic. At this point in the battle, although the cultivators of the two worlds had sworn to not retreat, there were too many injured and could not withstand the attacks of the cultivators of the Blood Evil organization. Seeing that the cultivators of the two worlds could not hold on any longer, Supreme Changsheng immediately transmitted his voice to the cultivators at the rear. "Send everyone to the 80 warships that we have prepared. Let everyone leave using the teleportation portal. Then run for your lives. Remember, let Knight Sorrow's family leave first." Yes, Lord Longevity, the person in charge of the retreat at the rear, was the second Deputy City Lord of the God World Territory. After receiving Supreme Longevity's order, he knew that the front line could not hold on any longer. He immediately gathered his subordinates and let them arrange for the commoners, women, and children of the two worlds to board the prepared 80 warships. He personally went to invite Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. After seeing the two women, the second Deputy City Lord immediately said, "Madams, now that the island has been destroyed, the people of the Blood Evil organization will be here soon. I will bring you to the teleportation portal, and you leave first. This is also our promise to Knight Sorrow. No, now that the battle has reached its climax, although the two of us are women, but we can't be the first to desert. Otherwise, it will be a disgrace to my husband's name. We choose to fight side by side with everyone." Hearing this, Wu Lingfei immediately rejected. Jingyan also had a determined look in her eyes. "We are not leaving. We are Earth Supremes, and we have half-step Supreme Realm Divine artifacts. We definitely have the power to fight. Deputy City Lord, go and arrange for the others to leave. We will go to the front line and fight now." Before the battle started, they were prepared to leave immediately if anything happened. But seeing the cultivators of the two worlds fighting so fiercely, their fighting spirit also rose in their hearts. Chapter 33:18. Moreover, Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei knew that as long as the threat of the Blood Fiends and the Heaven-deceiving tribe was not eliminated, they had nowhere to run. Instead of running away aimlessly, they might as well stake everything and fight to the death with the Blood Fiends. That way, even if they died in battle, they would die with dignity. It was better than dying while being chased. Don't be rash. Where there's life, there's hope. If you two ladies can use the teleportation portal to escape, if you see Knight Sorrow, you'll definitely have a chance of survival. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. Moreover, Madame Wu is pregnant with a child. Even if you don't think about yourself, you have to think about Knight Sorrow's child. At this level, being pregnant is definitely a gift from the heavens. You must cherish it. When the second Deputy City Lord heard the words of the two women, he immediately tried his best to persuade them. "Deputy City Lord, you don't have to persuade them. Our friends will fight to the death. We should do the same. As for my child, if he knows my choice, he will also support me. Since Knight Sorrow started cultivating, he's been fighting to stop fighting. His child should not be afraid of the baptism of war. Wu Lingfei said in a resounding voice. Then, she took out the half-step Supreme Realm Extreme Flame Phoenix Golden Shuttle that Night Sorrow had made and handed it to the second Deputy City Lord. This is the Extreme Flame Phoenix Golden Shuttle that my husband made. It's extremely fast. It can take some people away first. Deputy City Lord, take it. Take some people with potential and leave first. What should we do? Seeing how determined Wu Lingfei was, the second Deputy City Lord was helpless. His and the first Deputy City Lord's lives were saved by Night Sorrow. If it weren't for Night Sorrow, they would have been trapped in the Grotto Heaven and died. They were actually very grateful to him. Now that Wu Lingfei and Jing Yun had chosen to fight to the death, he suddenly felt sorry for Night Sorrow. But it was obvious that the beautiful ladies couldn't be persuaded at all. He didn't know what to do. At this time, Supreme Longevity and Old Demon Bloodfiend were locked in a fierce battle. It was not suitable for him to send a voice transmission to ask for a solution. Deputy City Lord, don't be troubled. Although we are women, we are all Earth Supremes and have good talent. We can fight. You don't have to worry. Seeing the Vice City Lord frowning, Jing Yun immediately tried to persuade him. At this moment, she glanced at the battle situation. The battle between the two sides had already reached its climax. The cultivators of the two batches led by the Supreme Longevity were already finding it harder and harder to hold on. Jing Yun was, after all, someone who had been through hundreds of battles. She was well aware of the logic of a defeated army collapsing like a landslide. She immediately turned to Wu Lingfei and said, "Big sister, let's go and fight. There were less than 200 enemies left. If we kill one, we can reduce the pressure to a certain extent." "Good, let's go." Wu Lingfei responded and stood beside Jing Yun. She was ready to fly up into the sky and join the battle. Alas, seeing that the two women were unable to dissuade him, the Vice City Lord sighed. Since that's the case, this old man will first arrange for the evacuation of the others. If the old, weak, women, and children are left behind, the consequences will be unimaginable if the front line can't hold on. Vice City Lord, I'll leave their safety to you. Jing Yun looked at the panicked crowd and thanked the Vice City Lord. Then, she flew into the sky side by side with Wu Lingfei and joined the battlefield. She attacked one of the Bloodfiend cultivators who was fighting with Murong Jinlu. Under the joint attack of the three, this Bloodfiend Heavenly Sovereign was quickly killed by Jing Yun's Extreme Flame Phoenix Golden Umbrella. "Why are you guys here? Quickly run. We can't let Brother Yi down." When the battle in front of them ended, Murong Jinlu immediately advised with a frown. At this time, Yuan Fengxue and Xue Changtian also looked over. Yuan Fengxue persuaded in the middle of the battle, "Lingfei, you're pregnant. Don't force yourself. Quickly leave with everyone." "Fengxue, you don't have to persuade us. Since the two of us came, we're already prepared to die in battle. We're a team, Jing Yun, and I can't abandon you guys and leave." Wu Lingfei replied and growled, "Everyone, let's fight side by side. Since you guys don't want to leave, then we'll fight side by side." At this time, the Myriad Sword sect who had just killed a Bloodfiend Heavenly Sovereign also flew over. He glanced at Jing Yun, then at Wu Lingfei, and roared, "All right, then let's fight together." Immediately after, Xiao Tianxian, Jin Xian, and the others also gathered. They had all fought together before. Then, they used a joint attack formation together and fought with the cultivators of the Bloodfiend organization. After they used the joint attack formation, the battle with the Bloodfiend cultivators instantly became much easier compared to these Bloodfiend cultivators, although they were at a disadvantage in terms of cultivation. After all, each of them had a divine artifact left behind by Night Sorrow. This was enough to erase some of the differences. Oh, the addition of Yishang's two wives could actually bring about such a huge change in the battle. Supreme Longevity, who was in the middle of the battle, discovered that Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei had joined the battle and cooperated so well with the Myriad Sword sect. Using the joint attack formation, They quickly killed several Blood Fiend cultivators and immediately exclaimed in surprise. At this time, the cultivators of the two batches saw this scene and were immediately encouraged. Their bodies seemed to have been injected with a lot of energy, and they fought even more fiercely. How did the addition of two women change the battle so much? Old Demon Blood Fiend, who was fighting Supreme Longevity, noticed the sudden change in the battle and immediately looked at Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei with a frown. After observing for a while, he thought to himself, so they're using a joint attack formation. This won't do. I have to break them up. With that in mind, Old Demon Blood Fiend increased his aura while fighting Supreme Longevity, and suddenly slammed a palm toward where Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei were fighting. He was planning to use their joint attack formation to heavily injure the two batches. Oh no! Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, be careful. When Supreme Longevity noticed Old Demon Blood Fiend's palm strike toward them, it was already too late to stop him. He immediately warned them, "Sister Dodge, I'll block this attack." At this time, Jing Yun reminded Wu Lingfei to use the Extreme Flame Phoenix Golden Umbrella to block this move. Seeing this, Paragon Eternal Life roared, "This won't do. You can't block it, Dodge. Dodge now." He could tell that although Jing Yun's half-step Supreme Realm Divine Artifact was of good quality, it definitely couldn't block Old Demon Blood Fiend's full-powered attack. After all, a Divine Artifact was a Divine Artifact, and there was still a gap between it and a cultivator's body. Can't block it. Hearing Supreme Longevity's words, Jing Yun was immediately stunned. In fact, she didn't know how powerful an attack from a half-step Supreme Realm expert was. Against this attack, the Extreme Flame Phoenix Golden Umbrella might not be damaged much, but she would definitely be heavily injured by the aftershock. www. Chapter 3319. Love, Sean _U reading /book, web wonderful, no pop-up window, free reading. What should we do? What should we do? Seeing that Jing Yun's life was in danger, even the ambitious and ruthless Longevity, Supremacy, felt helpless. He had promised Night Sorrow that he would ensure the safety of the two women. However, everything that was happening before his eyes made him feel helpless. He wanted to save them, but he didn't have the ability to do so. He could only vent his anger by attacking Blood Demon Old Demon. Blood Demon Old Demon's attack was irreversible, and it didn't stop at all. Shao Tianxian, Myriad Sword Sect, and the others attacked with all their might, wanting to help defend against Blood Demon Old Demon's attack. However, it was too late. After all, Blood Demon Old Demon's attack was extremely fast, and they couldn't keep up with it. Seeing this, everyone present broke out in cold sweat. They were all worried for Jing Yun, especially Wu Lingfei. Her body was trembling. If Yuan Fengxue hadn't held her back, she would have rushed forward to face this together with Jing Yun. At this moment, the difference in strength made her feel very uncomfortable. If only my husband was here, Jing Yun thought to herself as she faced Blood Demon Old Demon's attack. At this moment, she missed Night Sorrow's broad shoulders very much. However, she didn't regret fighting for the cultivators of the two worlds. She didn't regret it all, but she was reluctant to leave. In fact, she knew what kind of impact Supreme Longevity would have on her when he made that judgment. You guys are attacking me so ferociously, but you can't stop her from dying. Just wait for the tragedy to happen. Blood Demon Old Demon, who was being attacked crazily, taunted as he blocked Supreme Longevity's attack. The cultivators present were so angry that they were about to explode, but they couldn't do anything. Boom! At this moment, a loud sound was heard. At Jing Yun's location, a huge explosion rang out. After the shock waves from the collision subsided, everyone realized that a figure had suddenly appeared in front of Jing Yun. This person wasn't Night Sorrow, but the Heaven-defying sword who had just arrived. At the crucial moment, Heaven-defying helped Jing Yun block Old Demon Blood Demon's attack. He suffered some injuries, but he quickly recovered. He looked at Jing Yun and said, Apart from geniuses like Knight Sorrow, it's impossible for anyone in the Earth's sovereign realm to block the attack of a half-step paramount realm expert. Don't be impulsive next time. Senior, thank you for saving my life. When Jing Yun reacted, she immediately expressed her gratitude to Heaven Defying. This was definitely a life-saving grace. At that moment, she was already in despair. Wu Ling Fei, whose eyes were brimming with tears, also expressed her gratitude. Senior Tianan, thank you for saving Jing Yun. You don't have to be so polite with me. Knight Sorrow's business is my business. Come, let's fight side by side. Tian and I said and transformed back into a sword. Together with Jing Yun and the rest, he attacked the heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Fiend organization. With the addition of the Heaven-Defying sword, the situation immediately changed. Although the overall strength of the Blood Fiend organization was strong, other than the Blood Fiend Old Demon, no one else could withstand the attack of the Heaven-Defying sword. Very quickly, under the leadership of the Heaven-Defying sword, everyone killed more than 10 cultivators of the Blood Fiend organization. Bastard, there's actually a disruptor. If this continues, it'll be terrible. Seeing that the Heaven-Defying sword had changed the situation instantly, the Blood Fiend Old Demon was instantly enraged. He understood that if this continued, although the cultivators of the two realms would continue to die, his subordinates would also be exhausted. After thinking for a moment, he roared, "Everyone, summon the power of the altar. Let them see the true strength of our Blood Fiend organization." Yes, Patriarch. Hearing the Blood Fiend Old Demon's words, everyone from the Blood Fiend organization immediately began to chant the incantation of the Blood Fiend organization. After all of them had finished chanting, including the Blood Fiend Old Demon, a blood-colored light appeared on all the cultivators. Being enveloped by this blood-colored light, the auras of the Blood Fiend organization's cultivators instantly increased by 50 to 60%. Their combat strength simply soared, and the feeling they gave off was completely different. Not good. They've summoned the power of the Blood Fiend altar, and their strength has increased by leaps and bounds. Seeing that the Blood Fiend organization's cultivators had increased their combat strength, the Supreme Longevity immediately roared. This is a moment that concerns the survival of the two realms. Everyone, if you have any tricks up your sleeves, don't hold back. Use them all. Don't leave any regrets. On the other hand, as long as we block them, we can be considered to have protected our home. He knew that since the Blood Fiend organization's cultivators could increase their strength, it meant that Knight Sorrow had not succeeded in destroying the altar. Now, they could only fight with their lives on the line. Thinking about him was completely useless. Fight! 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 Kill as many as you can. The Eternal Supreme World's cultivators all roared. None of them had any intention of retreating. At this moment, Su Lei shouted, "Warriors of the Eternal Ancient Barren World, follow me and continue to kill the enemy. We will not rest until the Blood Fiend organization that destroyed our home is dead. Not rest until we die. Kill." The Eternal Ancient Barren World's cultivators also roared. Then, the cultivators of the two realms once again engaged in battle with the Blood Fiend organization. This time, although the two realms had the Heaven-Defying sword, Old Demon Blood Fiend's strength had increased. Soon, Supreme Longevity and the Panlong Spear were suppressed. Left with no choice, the Heaven-Defying sword could only give up on killing the Blood Fiend organization's cultivators and fight against Old Demon Blood Fiend with Supreme Longevity and the Panlong Spear. Even in the situation of 3 against 1, they could only fight to a draw with Old Demon Blood Fiend, who had gone all out. This Old Demon Blood Fiend was indeed not a simple person to be able to command an entire region. After receiving the support of the altar's power, his strength had increased by several times compared to the ordinary Blood Fiend organization's cultivators. Instantly, he became extremely difficult to deal with. Supreme Longevity, the Panlong Spear, and the heaven-defying sword judged that his strength and speed should have reached the peak of half a step to the supreme realm. Even if the three of them worked together, they might not be able to kill him. Without the heaven-defying sword holding back the Blood Fiend organization's heavenly supremes, the cultivators of the two realms were completely suppressed. After receiving the support of the altar's power, each of them became extremely ferocious. Moreover, it was as if they had suddenly obtained the ability of copper skin and iron bones, and their defensive strength had increased tremendously. To them, the attacks of the two realms' earthly supremes were no longer as fatal as before. Even the combined attacks of Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the Myriad sword sect were only able to suppress them. It was very difficult to kill any one of them. Under such attacks, the cultivators of the two realms began to fall. As the number of cultivators from the two realms decreased, and the Blood Fiend organization's cultivators became more and more ferocious, the island's defense could no longer hold on. Several Blood Fiend organizations' heavenly supremes had already charged into the civilian area and attacked the low-level cultivators. Chapter 33:20. The second deputy city lord, who was in charge of arranging for the elderly, women, and children to board the ship, was heavily injured after a few rounds. He almost died. Helpless, he led a group of cultivators into the defensive array that Night Sorrow had set up for Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. That was how they managed to survive. As for Jing Yun, Wu Lingfei, and the rest, although they saw the heavenly supremes of the Blood Fiends rushing over, they were helpless. With the number of allies around them dwindling, they could no longer stop all the Blood Fiends' cultivators. Helpless, they could only vent their anger on the Blood Fiends' cultivators in front of them. However, no matter how angry they were, they could not do anything when their strength was suppressed. At this time, Jing Yun said softly, "If my husband can destroy the altar now, there might be hope. If we don't close it quickly, I'm afraid everyone on the island will die, except those who have already left. I hope my husband can do it." Wu Lingfei glanced at the island during the battle. She saw a heavenly supremacy of the Blood Fiends brutally tearing apart dozens of women and children from the two worlds. She was instantly enraged and burned the Phoenix bloodline in her body. Then, Jing Yun, who saw the cruel scene, also burned the power of her bloodline and fought with the Blood Fiends. "Bastards! All of you deserve to die. One with the sword." At this time, Zhong Wanjian transformed into a sword and became one with a newly forged Extreme Flame Golden Phoenix sword. He attacked one of the Blood Fiends' cultivators. Boom! The Blood Fiends' cultivator in front of him was blasted into pieces. Good kill. Seeing that Zhong Wanjian killed a heavenly supremacy of the Blood Fiends in one move, Xue Changtian roared. He shouted out a lot of the depression in his chest. However, as time went by, such carefree scenes became fewer and fewer. More and more cultivators from the two worlds were dying. As a result, many of the heavenly supremes of the Blood Fiends became unstoppable. Bloodthirsty, they soon began to massacre the elderly, women, and children of the two worlds. They stopped them from boarding the battleships. They also began to destroy the teleportation portals to prevent people from escaping. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Seeing the old, weak, women, and children of the two worlds that didn't have much combat strength being cruelly slaughtered, even someone like Wu Lingfei, who had a very high level of self-restraint, was completely enraged. For a time, Wu Lingfei, Jing Yun, and the others began to give up on their opponents. While being chased by them, he attacked the heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Fiend organization, who were torturing and killing civilians. They really couldn't watch such a cruel scene continue to happen. However, as time passed, the number of cultivators with combat power in the two realms decreased. Gradually, although most people began to retreat to defend themselves, they could not stop the heavenly sovereigns from the Blood Evil organization from wreaking havoc. Ha! What a magnificent sight! Aren't you going to enjoy it? When Old Demon Blood Demon, saw the scene before him, he arrogantly sneered. Even though the Supreme Longevity and the others were not fond of him, they still could not take him down. For a moment, the hearts of both realms began to sink into despair. After the cultivators of the Blood Evil organization received the support of the altar, they gradually displayed stronger and stronger combat strength. Although they were fighting with all their might, there was still a gap in strength. At this point in the battle, the fact that there were too many people from both realms had become a burden. Many cultivators had died in order to protect the weak. What should we do? What should we do? Seeing more and more of their allies die and more people get killed, Jin Xian was on the verge of collapse. At this moment, Xiao Tianxian roared, "What do you mean? What should we do?" "Of course, we kill as many as we can." After that, they formed the joint attack formation again and attacked the cultivators of the Blood Evil organization. However, after they killed a few cultivators of the Blood Evil organization, they immediately attracted the attention of many people. The cultivators of the Blood Evil organization who were torturing and killing civilians all gathered here. Soon, more than 20 cultivators of the Blood Evil organization rushed over to provide support and surrounded Jingyun and the others. Protect the spirit concubine. If you could hold on for a while, just a while. Under such circumstances, Xiao Tianxian transmitted his voice to everyone. Then, they continued to fight in the hopeless situation. Although each of them had a divine weapon given to them by Night Sorrow, the cultivators of the Blood Evil organization were much stronger. Not long after the battle, everyone was pushed away. Without the assistance of the joint attack formation, their situation fell to rock bottom in an instant. He was completely suppressed by the heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Fiend organization. She saw Night Sorrow's family and best friends being forced into such a state. Supreme Longevity immediately transmitted a message to Heaven Defying. "Brother Heaven Defying, go help them. Leave old Demon Blood Fiend to me and Brother Coiling Dragon. But you are definitely no match for him. If the two of you are killed, the two worlds will have no chance at all." At that time, even if Yanji's Zune reappears and Night Sorrow becomes a Supreme Zune, it will be meaningless. Hearing this, the Heaven-Defying Sword immediately replied, "Don't worry. Even if I have to risk my life, I will stop old Demon Blood Fiend. Don't worry about helping the others. If you don't go now, everyone will die." Supreme Longevity uttered a roar and took out a pill emitting a misty aura from the space chamber. He swallowed it. "You swallowed the Heavenly Origin Annihilation Pill. After an hour, you will explode and die." Seeing that Supreme Longevity had swallowed the Heavenly Origin Annihilation Pill, Heaven-Defying Sword rushed over to help Jing Yun and the rest. "Ha! If I can hold on for an hour, I will have profited." Hearing this, a smile appeared on Heaven-Defying Sword's face. Then, he looked at old Demon Blood Fiend and said coldly, "Let's fight again." "Oof. Don't think that I don't know what the Heavenly Origin Annihilation Pill is. I only need to hold you back for an hour, and you will explode and die." Old Demon Blood Fiend looked at Paragon Longevity with a look of disdain. Then, he began to use his speed to hold back Supreme Longevity and the Coiling Dragon Spear. Although the Heaven-Defying Sword went to help Jing Yun and the rest, the Heavenly Sovereigns of the Blood Fiend organization had become extremely powerful after their strength had increased. With the advantage in numbers, even the Heaven-Defying Sword was no longer invincible. Old Demon Blood Fiend saw this and sneered, "Supreme Longevity, if I were you, I would escape by myself. That way, you will still have a chance of survival. You beast, you don't understand our feelings for our country at all. Today, as long as I live for a second, I will not let you harm any of the cultivators from the two worlds." After Supreme Longevity swallowed the Heavenly Origin Annihilation Pill, his aura increased by a lot. Moreover, he began to use his life-risking battle technique. www. Chapter 33:21. Once Supreme Longevity displayed this kind of battle method that would harm the enemy and himself in the process, he would be able to do it. Knowing that his body would explode in an hour, Old Demon Blood Demon did not fight him head-on. Instead, he used his superior speed to kill time. Supreme Longevity, who wanted to fight with his life on the line, could not attack him at all. Bastard, do you dare to fight me head-on? Seeing that Old Demon Blood Demon was dodging non-stop, Paragon Longevity scolded in disdain. I'm not a fool. Why would I fight you head-on in such a situation? Old Demon Blood Demon snorted coldly in response. Then, he released his spirit to check the current situation. He was very satisfied with the current situation, because even with the heaven-defying bead, the remaining cultivators of the Blood Demon organization could not be suppressed. If things were to continue like this, the island would probably be completely annihilated today. What should we do? If this continues, everyone will die. The master of the 10,000 Swords sect watched the battle unfold in front of him. He pondered for a moment and said, "How about this? We'll each choose a target. We'll self-destruct to take them down with us. Although these heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Demon organization are stronger than us, they won't be able to defend against self-destruction at close range. We'll kill as many as we can. How about that? Observe for a while more. If there's still no other way, we'll choose to self-destruct." Xiao Tianxian looked up at the situation and said in a low voice. At this moment, cultivators from the two worlds and other areas had already chosen to self-destruct to protect the other survivors. Because other than that, they could not find any other way to stop Heavenly Sovereign Blood Demon. There's no need to consider. We'll do the same. Seeing that the other cultivators from the two worlds had already started to use self-destruction to kill the cultivators of the Blood Demon organization, Wu Lingfei said with a frown. Speaking of which, she had been through hundreds of battles. At this critical moment, she was not afraid at all. All right, today, we'll use our blood to defend the final glory of the two worlds. Eternal Supreme World and Eternal Ancient Desolate World were already in a desperate situation. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Su Lei agreed. Although she still had a bright future in Lu Tian Academy, she felt that there was no need for her to exist if her home was destroyed and her people were all killed. She was ready to self-destruct. Hearing this, everyone immediately searched for their respective targets, being stared at covetously by them. Even though the cultivators of the Bloody Malevolence organization were very evil, they couldn't help but retreat. Bastard, what was there to fear? If they want to self-destruct, you just have to take them on. Can everyone still be killed? When Old Demon Blood Fiend saw that the cultivators from the Blood Fiend organization were intimidated by the fearless aura of the cultivators from the two realms, he immediately scolded them in displeasure. After being reprimanded, the heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Evil organization calmed down and prepared to fight the cultivators of the two realms. As for the cultivators of the two realms, they each looked for their opponents with solemn and stirring hearts. Right at this moment, Jing Yun suddenly spoke. "Everyone, pay attention. Everyone, pay attention." Pay attention to what? Wu Lingfei, who was closest to her, couldn't help but ask in surprise. "Attention, everyone. The bloody light on the heavenly sovereign of the Blood Fiend organization has disappeared. It's very likely that my husband destroyed the altar." Jing Yun reminded everyone loudly. After her reminder, Xiao Tianxian and the others also noticed. The bodies of the heavenly sovereigns of the Blood Evil organization had indeed lost their blood-red glow. All right, the Myriad Sword sect, who was originally prepared to die, immediately roared into the sky. Then, he roared, "Brothers, kill. The Blood Fiend altar has been destroyed. Don't self-destruct anymore. Kill." Jin Xian also roared with all his might. "Kill, kill, kill." Hearing this, the cultivators of the two realms all roared in unison. "Kill." Even Su Lei also roared loudly. Then, the cultivators of the two realms started their counterattack. As for the cultivators of the Blood Fiend organization, after losing the power of the altar, it was as if all their energy had been sucked out. They didn't have the strength to fight at all. Very quickly, dozens of them were killed. Damn it, why is there a problem with the altar? Old Demon Bloodfiend, who was fighting with the Supreme Longevity Organization and the Coiling Dragon Spear, naturally encountered the same problem. He had never expected that there would be a problem with the altar behind him. After all, there was a blood pool and more than 100 cultivators defending there. After realizing that the energy in his body had been sucked out, the thought of escaping immediately arose in Old Demon Blood Fiend's mind. However, after losing the support of the altar, his speed also decreased rapidly. On the other hand, the Supreme Longevity Organization had the support of the Heavenly Essence Annihilation Pill. In such a situation, Old Demon Blood Fiend couldn't win the battle, and he couldn't escape fast enough. Soon, he was killed by the Supreme Longevity Organization personally. In the battle, he didn't even kill a single person before he died. Old Demon Blood Fiend had never expected to die in such a humiliating way. Old Demon Blood Fiend is dead. We won. Kill all the members of the Blood Evil Organization. Don't let a single one of them go. After killing Old Demon Blood Fiend, the Supreme Longevity Organization immediately roared, "Kill!" When the cultivators of the two realms heard this, they instantly responded with a deafening roar. As for the cultivators of the Blood Fiend Organization, they completely lost their momentum. Not long after, they were all killed. Not a single one of them managed to escape. After killing all the enemies, the cultivators of the two realms, as well as the old, weak, women, and children who were preparing to escape, all cheered to vent their emotions. It's all thanks to Night Sorrow for successfully destroying the Blood Fiend altar in time. Otherwise, we would all have died today. After the battle ended, the Supreme Longevity Organization said with relief, if he hadn't asked Night Sorrow to destroy the Blood Fiend altar, even if Night Sorrow was here, they might not have one. At this moment, everyone gathered in front of the Supreme Longevity Organization. Tian and I frowned. But there's not much time left. Senior Longevity, Yuan Fengshui, and the others also knew that the Supreme Longevity Organization would explode and die in a while. They instantly cried out sadly, "Ha! Don't worry about me. The end is for a new beginning. I will return. Leaving such a body might be a form of relief for me." The Supreme Longevity Organization looked at everyone and smiled kindly. Then he said, "There's no time. I'll make a move first. You guys wait here for Night Sorrow's return. Leave the rest of the matters to him." After saying that, Eternal Life Supreme soared into the air and flew into the sky. Not long after, there was a huge explosion in the sky. Yuan Fengshui, Jing Yun, and the other girls instantly cried sadly. Wu Lingfei's eyes were also misty. She was extremely upset. After recovering for a while, they finally regrouped and began to clean up the mess. After the Blood Fiend Organization was destroyed, the eternal ancient desolate world became a pure land. They could temporarily rest and recuperate. As for the follow-up matters, everyone prepared to follow the instructions of the Supreme Longevity Organization and leave it to Night Sorrow. Chapter 33:22. At this moment, Night Sorrow was resting in the secret chamber under the palace. At that time, after he killed Xue Qi and the others, he began to attack the Blood Fiend altar. However, the Blood Fiend altar's defensive power was simply astonishing. Moreover, its recovery ability was extremely strong. Every time Night Sorrow used the golden heavenly halberd to create a crack, it would automatically grow back. This also caused Night Sorrow to need to continuously attack. Under such circumstances, Night Sorrow continuously attacked the Blood Fiend altar with his ultimate techniques for more than 2 hours. Together with the cultivators who had been purified, they attacked together. Only then did they successfully destroy the Blood Fiend altar, and he had almost burned his flesh and blood, which consumed a lot of energy. Even if he used the pills provided by the Eternal Divine Tower, he still needed a while to recover. In the 10 times space of the Eternal Divine Tower, After recovering for about a day, Knight Sorrow successfully recovered. At this time, he immediately kept all the cultivators who had been purified into the Eternal Divine Tower. He said, "I don't know how the battle over there has progressed. You guys hurry up and recover. I'll hurry back. Master, don't worry. We didn't consume as much energy as you did. We have almost recovered. As long as we arrive, we will definitely tear old Demon Blood Fiend to shreds." After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, the three-eyed silver wolf immediately responded. "I only hope that my family and friends can hold on until we return." After saying this, Yishang didn't say anything else. He used his fastest speed and hurried towards the island. However, no matter how fast he was, he still needed some time to return to the island. When Knight Sorrow flew above the island, everyone on the island had already finished cleaning up the severely damaged island. They were rebuilding some of the damaged buildings. At the same time, some of the cultivators who had left on the battleship were also on their way back. Huaqinggu manga. Phew, that's great. Looks like we've won this battle. Seeing everyone cleaning up the mess in an orderly manner, Knight Sorrow immediately heaved a sigh of relief. At this time, he released the power of his soul and began to search for Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. When he found the two of them in the room where he had set up the array, he immediately flew down. "It's great that you're fine." Seeing that Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei were safe and sound, Knight Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. At this moment, Wu Lingfei said with a serious expression, "Husband, supreme longevity, in order to protect everyone." He consumed the Heaven Essence Annihilation Pill and has already exploded and died. What? Senior longevity has fallen? When Knight Sorrow heard this, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. For a moment, he couldn't accept it. He sacrificed himself for everyone. We were powerless to stop the tragedy from happening. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, she fell silent. Jing Yun continued. After that, she explained the details of the battle to Knight Sorrow. "It's all my fault. If I had destroyed the Blood Fiend altar earlier, Senior Longevity wouldn't have died." After listening to Jing Yun, Knight Sorrow calculated the time and realized that if he had destroyed the altar a moment earlier, he immediately regretted it. Don't blame yourself. We all know that you do your best. It can only be said that it's fate. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was depressed, Jing Yun immediately consoled him. At this moment, Wu Lingfei continued, "Don't dwell in sorrow." Before Senior Longevity left, he said that he would let you take charge of the situation. Think about how the cultivators of the two worlds should go in the future. Let me think about it. Hearing this, Knight Sorrow forcefully suppressed the sadness in his heart. In fact, losing Supreme Longevity was a huge blow to the Eternal Supreme World. This meant that the Eternal Supreme World had lost a hope of becoming a Supreme Venerable. After thinking for a moment, Knight Sorrow thought to himself, "It seems that if I want to fight against the three Supreme Venerables, I have to defeat the Fog Area. I can only become a Supreme Venerable and then find Yin Jizuan and the Junior Supreme Venerable Liken mentioned. Only then will there be a glimmer of hope." Then he began to think about how to settle these people in the Eternal Supreme World and the Eternal Ancient Desolate World. There was no doubt that the Eternal Ancient Desolate World was safe for now. If they were to recuperate here, they should be able to develop and grow in peace. But for those with potential and talent, it would be a waste of talent to stay here. The speed of their strength improvement would definitely be limited. After thinking carefully, he suddenly had an idea. After thinking about it, Knight Sorrow gathered all the cultivators above the earthly supreme level. He said, "The Eternal Ancient Desolate World is temporarily safe. I plan to leave all the cultivators below the earthly supreme level in the palace and the island to recuperate. As for the earthly supreme level cultivators, I plan to bring them to the Fog Area. Everyone, quickly improve your strength. Strive to become a heavenly supreme as soon as possible, or even half a step to the Supreme Venerable, or even the Supreme Venerable." Does anyone have any opinions? If we go to the Fog Area, will we completely become tools of slaughter? Hearing Night Sorrow's words, an earthly supreme in the eternal ancient desolate world immediately asked. After all, in everyone's hearts, the fog area was a place that could not be entered. No, as long as we follow Brother Yi, there will be no problems. Sule glanced at the cultivator and explained. If we don't become beasts of slaughter, we naturally want to go there to cultivate. Hearing Sule say that they would not be corroded in the fog area, someone immediately expressed their willingness to follow Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow continued, "To be honest, it's the power of good karma that I have that can purify the fog. Even if everyone is corroded in the fog area, I have a way to remove it. So, everyone can follow me into the fog area with peace of mind. It's just that currently, we don't have a suitable place for everyone to cultivate. Everyone may feel wronged for a while. After I bring people to take over some family's territory, everyone can cultivate in peace there. If he brought fewer people from the Space Grotto Heaven, entering the Lu Tian Academy would be fine. But Night Sorrow felt that if he brought hundreds or thousands of cultivators who were not from the fog area into the Lu Tian Academy, or even the middle of the academy, something big might happen. So, he planned to settle them outside the academy. And the Lin family's foundation was what he planned to take over. As long as he took over the Lin family's territory, then he could completely develop it into a pure land for cultivators from the two families to cultivate. You mean you want to take over all the Lin family's territory? Settle everyone there? Sule had also come from the fog area. Naturally, he understood Night Sorrow's meaning, so he immediately asked. It's like this. If we rashly bring everyone to the middle of the academy to cultivate, their strength will increase by leaps and bounds. But if we are discovered by the supreme beings, we will definitely be wiped out. If that happens, we will never have a chance to turn things around. So, I don't want to take this risk. Night Sorrow explained. All right, then let's go back and quickly develop our forces, then destroy the Lin family. Sule agreed. www. Chapter 33:23. 1 second to remember love on /U reading /book wonderful. No pop-up window, free reading. After saying this, Sule continued, but I think it's best not to bring everyone along. Otherwise, if you have something to do and stay in the middle courtyard for a long time, or if you're tied up by something, then everyone will have nowhere to hide. Hearing this, Night Sorrow shook his head and said, There's no need for that. I can help everyone make a fake fog aura. Let everyone stay on Night Demon Peak to cultivate. Even if everyone is corroded by the fog, I have a way to purify it. Everyone just needs to be responsible for quickly increasing their strength. So, if everyone is corroded by the fog, can't we enter the middle courtyard to cultivate? Why will we snatch the Lin clan's territory? Sule said in confusion. He felt that it was better to let everyone enter the middle courtyard to increase their strength faster. I feel that the middle courtyard is very special. Even if it's me, there will be problems if I stay there for a long time. So I don't want to stay there for long. Night Sorrow explained. In addition, in a few thousand years, the three Supremes will come out of seclusion. If any of them were to come out of seclusion, they would see through my identity. I will stay in the middle courtyard for at most a few thousand years. So, before they come out, we have to arrange our territory clearly. This way, it will be relatively safer. So that's how it is. Indeed, the three Supremes are too terrifying. It's best if we avoid them. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he immediately understood what was going on and agreed. The others also more or less understood what was going on in the fog area. After discussion, everyone present decided to follow Night Sorrow to the fog area. After making arrangements for everyone, Night Sorrow left with Jing Yun and Wu Lingfei. After returning to his residence, he looked at Wu Lingfei and said, Lingfei, what I mean is that you and Jing Yun stay in the eternal ancient desolate world. I don't want our child to be contaminated by the fog before it is even born. What do you think? Since you have decided, I naturally have no objections. It's also a good thing for us to stay here. It's to prevent you from worrying about us and affecting the normal operation of things. If our eternal supreme world wants to completely take back our home, it will definitely be an extremely difficult path. I hope you can lead everyone on this path. When you're free, just come and visit us. After a moment of silence, Wu Lingfei began to speak word by word. To be honest, she wanted to go with Night Sorrow. However, he was also worried that if Night Sorrow was gone for too long, she would be infected with the dark aura and give birth to a child that would be born evil. Therefore, he couldn't accept it. Hearing this, Night Sorrow was very grateful for her understanding. He hugged her and said, "No matter how difficult the road is, I will lead everyone to successfully take back the eternal supreme world and let everyone live a peaceful life. When the time comes, we can bring everyone from our family over. We can enjoy the happiness of family and watch the children cultivate and fight." Good. I hope that day will come soon. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Wu Lingfei's face revealed a trace of a smile. Without their clansmen, she and Jingyun felt that this wasn't a complete home. However, this was a special period of time, so they couldn't bring their families over from the God Realm. At least for now, the God Realm was still a pure land without any major dangers. Jingyun, in the next few years, I'll leave Lingfei to you to take care of. Thank you for your hard work. After speaking to Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow looked at Jingyun and said gently, "We're all family, so there's no need to be so polite. It's my duty to take care of my sister. However, I hope you can come back and visit us when you have time. We're worried about you if you don't see us for hundreds or thousands of years," Jingyun said emotionally. During the thousands of years that Night Sorrow had been in the fog, she and Wu Lingfei had always been on tenterhooks, afraid that something would happen to Night Sorrow. "Don't worry, I'll come back often. At the very least, I'll bring you a lot of cultivation resources." Night Sorrow looked at Jingyun. "Although you're in the eternal, ancient, desolate world, it's best that you don't neglect your cultivation. The war in the future will be chaotic. At that time, I might have to fight against the Supreme Supremes and won't have the energy to take care of you. All right, we'll work hard in our cultivation and try to protect ourselves in the battle against the Supreme Supremes." Jingyun nodded her head seriously. She also knew that if they didn't overcome the 3 mountains of the Supreme Supremes, there would be no light in the eternal, ancient, desolate world. After a few years, they would be harvested again. Therefore, no matter what, they had to defeat the 3 Supreme Supremes. Almost half of the pressure on the group that had defeated the 3 Supreme Venerates was concentrated on Yishang. "These are the resources that I prepared for you. You should be able to use these resources to cultivate to the Heavenly Supreme level. When you reach the Heavenly Supreme level, you can consume a Supreme Heavenly Origin Pill to raise your cultivation level." Night Sorrow took out some of the resources that he had accumulated for the 2 women from the space cave. He handed them to Jingyun and continued, "Then I'll take my leave first. There's still many things that I need to deal with in the fog. Don't go yet. Let me brew another pot of tea for you." Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to leave, Jingyun immediately spoke up. She and Wu Lingfei's eyes were a little wet. "All right. I'll stay with you for a few more days." Night Sorrow could feel that the 2 women were reluctant to part with him, so he agreed and stayed. In the following days, Night Sorrow brought the 2 women out of the island and into the sea to relax. After returning, Night Sorrow bid farewell to them and led the cultivators of the 2 worlds to seal the passageways between the eternal ancient desolate world and the eternal ancient desolate world, as well as the passageways between the eternal ancient desolate world and the fog. Only then did he bring everyone to the fog. So, this is the foggy area. It's really so foggy that it feels unfathomable. When the Myriad Sword sect in Night Sorrow's space cave entered the fog and saw that there were earthly supremes everywhere, they immediately sighed with emotion. "When I first came here, I wasn't even an earthly supremacy. Facing these creatures was still very stressful. But later, I found that the cultivation of the average cultivator in the fog is at the heavenly supreme level. I think that after everyone enters the fog, they will soon become heavenly supremes. After the Myriad Sword sect finished speaking, Knight Sorrow began to tell everyone about his experiences in the fog. After listening to him from beginning to end, the cultivators of the two worlds had a basic understanding of the fog. After talking about his experiences, Knight Sorrow continued. Next, I'm going to bring you to the Night Demon Peak that I've created. It's threatened by the Lin clan, but relatively speaking, it's safer than the Lu Tian Academy. Everyone can stay there permanently. All right, we'll catch up as soon as possible. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, the Myriad Sword sect smiled and said, I'll think of a way to provide everyone with resources so that you can quickly become heavenly supremes. When all of you become heavenly supremes, together with the forces that we've developed in the fog, we'll be able to attack the Lin clan. Knight Sorrow said slowly as they flew towards the Night Demon Peak. This Lin clan he must annihilate. Chapter 33:24. I heard that there are 2,000 to 3,000 heavenly sovereigns in the Lin clan. Even if everyone becomes a heavenly sovereign, I'm afraid we won't be able to fight against them, right? Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, Sule added. She was not confident. The Lin clan was one of the most powerful clans in the foggy area. They controlled an extremely vast area, and the number of heavenly sovereigns in the clan was extremely exaggerated. There were at least 2 half-step to Supreme Realm experts, and they were absolute overlords. It was very difficult to uproot a force with such strength. When everyone's strength reaches the heavenly sovereign level, my strength won't be as weak as it is now. At that time, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with ordinary half-step to Supreme Realm cultivators. Although the Lin clan has many people, they shouldn't be a threat. Knight Sorrow finished speaking calmly and continued, and our extermination of the Lin clan is something that the Lu Tian Academy secretly supports. At that time, I might be able to get some support from Vice Dean Ji Xian, because they're not a threat. Yes, the Lu Tian Academy is preparing to use people from the Central Academy to conquer the Eternal Supreme Domain and the Foggy Area. They should be thinking of completely reshuffling the cards in the 2 domains and taking control of them. The others didn't know about the Lu Tian Academy, but Su Lei knew. After she said this, she looked at Knight Sorrow. But what's the reason for doing this? Reason? During the flight, Knight Sorrow deduced, according to my judgment. It should be because after the last battle, the 3 Supreme Supremes were injured and went into hibernation. They lost control of the foggy area. The foggy area was handed over to these big clans. Now, they should be recovering soon. They should start to deal with these clans. They are preparing to completely control the foggy area in the hands of their own people. Of course, I also suspect that there are some hidden secrets in this. But how can they be sure that the people from the Central Academy are reliable? Sule said, then looked at Knight Sorrow worriedly and said, could it be that they still have a backup plan? Not could it be, it's definitely. The 3 Supreme Supremes must have already made arrangements in this regard. Knight Sorrow said with a frown. Then, he continued, that's why I'm preparing to take over the Lin clan's businesses as soon as possible and strengthen our own forces. But after the 3 Supreme Supremes come out of seclusion, no matter how strong everyone is, it should be useless. Sule said with a frown. The 3 Supreme Venerables would come out of seclusion in less than 10,000 years. This was something that many people in the foggy area knew. It was also a stone that weighed down on everyone's hearts. Everyone is no match for the 3 Supreme Venerables. However, it would be best if he could contend against someone half a step into the limitless realm. If a war were to break out in the future, the 3 Supreme Venerables would be restrained by someone. But everyone needs to be able to protect themselves in the face of an army of thousands. After Knight Sorrow finished speaking, he didn't say anything else. This was because they had already arrived at the entrance of Night Demon Peak. The mountain gate of Night Demon Peak was much larger than when Knight Sorrow had been there. It looked very imposing. The plaque hanging high in the sky seemed to have the meaning of an immortal's lintel. We're here. Everyone, absorb some of the ancient coffin's aura to disguise yourselves. Floating in the air above the mountain gate, Night Sorrow took out the ancient coffin from the space and let everyone absorb it. After everyone had finished absorbing, he then slowly flew into Night Demon Peak. However, he didn't summon everyone. The moment he stepped into Night Demon Peak, the cultivators guarding the mountain gate recognized Night Sorrow and immediately informed Yun Yi and the rest. Yun Yi left and brought a few cultivators out to welcome him. "Ha! Brother Yi, you're finally back. How's the matter that you went to settle?" Seeing Night Sorrow's figure, Yun Yi immediately welcomed him with a smile. He knew that Night Sorrow had returned to his hometown to look for his family. It's still considered satisfactory. Night Sorrow gave a simple reply. Then, he asked, "How was the situation here while I was away? Did the Lin family take revenge?" The Lin family did take action against us. But every time, Lin Dongxiao was able to send the news out in time. Therefore, we didn't suffer any losses. Yin Yi transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Naturally, he wouldn't reveal Lin Dongxiao's matter in front of others. After talking about the Lin family, Yin Yi continued, "Also, because we have enough resources recently, the treatment given is better. Moreover, we have the middle court to rely on, so the recruitment process is relatively smooth. When you left, we only had less than 10 Heavenly Supremes left. Now, we've recruited 60 to 70 of them. Very good. At this rate, we should be able to compete with the Lin family very soon." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he looked at Yun Yi and said, "Brother Yun, gather everyone. I'm going to check if the newly recruited people are reliable." In his own space, Grotto Heaven, there were more than 100 cultivators from the two realms. He had to ensure that the people he recruited were all reliable before he could summon them out and make arrangements. "All right, let's go to the meeting hall and wait." After speaking, Yun Yi brought Night Sorrow and Su Lei into the meeting hall of Night Demon Peak. Then, he began to gather all the cultivators in Night Demon Peak. Not long after, all of the cultivators were gathered in the conference hall. With the previous experience of the Lin family cultivators joining Night Demon Peak, this time, everyone was gathered. This time, after everyone had arrived, Night Sorrow immediately looked at everyone and said, "Hello everyone, I'm Night Demon. I'm from the middle court of Lu Tian Academy. Today, I've gathered everyone here to sign the Blood Oath of Alliance." Blood Oath of Alliance? What's that? Hearing this, a cultivator immediately stepped forward and looked at Night Sorrow. It's similar to a heavenly oath. However, it has a paper as proof and the heavens as proof. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he asked Yun Yi to prepare the Blood Oath of Alliance. He explained, "This Blood Oath of Alliance is fair to both of us. Night Demon Peak is responsible for protecting and nurturing you, but you have to fight for Night Demon Peak and guarantee that you won't betray us. If anyone wants to leave, you can leave now. This way, we can ensure that you weren't sent by other forces. Is that so? Then, won't we have to be loyal to Night Demon Peak forever?" Hearing Night Sorrow's words, some of the cultivators started to think. To them, the word forever was more or less a binding term. Seeing that everyone was talking about it, Night Sorrow said with a smile, "Forever represents stability. You want to be protected by a large force, but you don't want to pay anything. That's absolutely impossible. Night Demon Peak, with a middle court as our backing, will soon grow into a large force. If you want to join us in the future, you have to meet some requirements. Think about it carefully. After you've thought it through, you can find me to sign the Blood Oath of Alliance." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, some of the cultivators present started to study it. Those who had ulterior motives naturally felt very uncomfortable. They had already started to think about what they should do to escape today. Chapter 33:25. After all, some of the cultivators were sent by other factions to infiltrate Night Devil Peak and had already formed an alliance with them. If they signed a blood pact with Night Devil Peak, It would be a direct violation of the heavenly Tao. They would be punished by the heavenly Tao. Seeing the reactions of some of the cultivators present, Yishang revealed a trace of a smile and said, "Has everyone thought it through? The Night Devil Peak Master is willing to sign the blood pact with us because he trusts and cares for us. We have no reason not to sign it." Some cultivators rushed to respond as soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking. As soon as this cultivator finished speaking, many other cultivators immediately chimed in. Clearly, they were very interested in joining Night Devil Peak. The reactions of these cultivators were obviously within Night Sorrow's consideration. However, they did not pass Night Sorrow's test. Night Sorrow ignored the silent cultivators and looked at the cultivators who had agreed to sign the blood pact. "Everyone, come one by one in front of Brother Yunyi and sign the blood pact. Remember, use your real name. Only then will the blood pact take effect." After he finished speaking, some cultivators lined up and came before him to sign the blood pact. This blood pact was found by Yunyi in an ancient book after the last large-scale betrayal. After modification, it basically eliminated all possibilities of cheating. When the blood pact began to be signed, some cultivators who did not want to join Night Devil Peak could no longer sit still. One of the cultivators stood up and rushed toward Night Devil Peak's mountain gate. The other dozen or so cultivators who could not sign the blood pact also stood up and flew out of the conference hall, wanting to escape from Night Devil Peak. Night Sorrow sneered. "Brother Yun, activate the mountain protecting array. Don't let any of them go. I want those factions to understand that Night Devil Peak is not to be infiltrated. Don't worry, with the array you set up, none of them will be able to escape today." Yin Yi replied and activated the mountain protecting array. Then he ordered everyone attack together and kill all the spies sent by the other factions. Yes, some of the cultivators who were about to sign the pact heard this and immediately chased outside. At this time, Night Sorrow said, "Everyone, there's no need to be like this. I'll take care of this. You guys continue to sign the blood oath." After saying that, he took out his golden heavenly halberd and chased after the heavenly sovereigns. Very soon, the dozen or so cultivators were all killed and handed over to the eternal divine tower to devour. The main reason he did this was to display his strength. When they saw Night Sorrow, who was a lower heavenly sovereign, take out a heavenly sovereign with a single move, some of the people present were completely shocked. The geniuses of the middle school of the Dark Tao Academy were indeed not simple. After that, the speed of signing the blood oath of allegiance also increased by a lot. After everyone had signed the blood oath of alliance, Night Sorrow looked at them and said, "Everyone has signed the blood oath of alliance, but you still need to swear an oath of loyalty to Night Demon Peak. Does anyone have any objections to this? Since the blood oath has been signed, there's naturally no problem in swearing such an oath to the heavenly Tao." One of the cultivators immediately replied. After that, he was the first to swear an oath to never betray the heavenly Tao. When the others saw that this cultivator was the first to swear an oath to the heavenly Tao, they naturally did not shirk from it, and all began to do so. During this process, Night Sorrow, whose power of merit had already advanced to the upper earthly sovereign level, saw that there was something wrong with the three cultivators. Although they had sworn an oath to the heavenly Tao as required, their thoughts were different. After using his power of merit to detect these people, Night Sorrow immediately sent a voice transmission to Yunyi and pointed out the three of them. After that, Yunyi asked, "Are we going to cast a long line to catch a big fish or kill them directly? Capture them first and interrogate them properly to find out which forces they are from. This way, we will know in our hearts. This time, I brought many friends with me. These people must not be exposed." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he directly attacked the three of them and restrained them. After handing them over to Yunyi, he looked at the crowd and said, "These three are spies. As for how I identified them, I won't talk about it. I still have things to deal with, so I'll leave the follow-up to Deputy Peak Master Yunyi." "Farewell, Peak Master." Some of the cultivators present hurriedly got up to send Night Sorrow off. Rise. Since we've all joined Night Demon Peak, we're brothers. There's no need to care about these complicated formalities. After Night Sorrow said that, he sent a voice transmission to Yun Yi. Brother Yun, you take charge of the situation first. I'll go outside to set up some arrays, and then some of my friends, so that they can cultivate peacefully in Night Demon Peak. All right, go ahead and do it. Leave the matter at hand to me. Yun Yi knew that the friends that Night Sorrow mentioned were definitely not from the foggy area, so he immediately responded. All right. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he found a remote area on Night Demon Peak and began to set up the arrays. After setting up the ceiling arrays, he summoned everyone and said, "The area we're in now is Night Demon Peak on the outskirts of Lutian Academy. Although this area is not big, it should be enough for everyone to build their cave abodes. In the future, I'll return to Lutian Academy, so everyone can do whatever you want. If you breathe in the foggy aura, don't be afraid. When I return, I'll purify it for everyone. All right, Night Sorrow, don't worry. We'll improve our strength as soon as possible." Seeing that Night Sorrow was worried about everyone, Myriad Sword Sect immediately smiled and said, "You don't have to worry about us. Everyone here will only work hard to cultivate and won't wander around and cause trouble. I feel that it's a little unfair for everyone to stay here, but there's nothing we can do about it. I still have things to do, so I'll take my leave first." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he took another look at his friends and left with Su Lei. After that, he explained the details to Yun Yi and returned to Lutian Academy with Su Lei. When they arrived at Lutian Academy, Night Sorrow brought Su Lei directly to the middle of the academy. When they were on the starship, Night Sorrow let Su Lei try to fight against the skeletons on the island, and Su Lei successfully dealt with one wave. When it came to the second wave, he was unable to fight back. At this time, Night Sorrow made his move and successfully dealt with the second and third waves of pirate skeletons. Not long after dealing with the third wave of pirate skeletons, they successfully arrived at Night Demon Planet. When they arrived at Night Demon Planet, Night Sorrow immediately flew to the palace that he had built. He believed that after such a long time, Xin Yin and the rest must have built the palace even more thoroughly. However, when they arrived at the palace, Night Sorrow's brows suddenly furrowed. The palaces that he had personally set up were all destroyed and turned into ruins. What's going on? While Night Sorrow was observing with the sea serpent's eye, Xian Heng said sternly, "You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.